So we will leave you, well, with just really kind of just like a bit of a simple message for this one. End of the universe! Have fun! Bye-bye!
I think that because it's a staple of the show, we need to finish on a cliffhanger.
Emma. Alright, this is going to cause some rage. I think Bill Potts is an awful companion. Just the silence from these two is just like the sharpening knives. Jake is just like pulling a chair up, ready to break my head open with it.
We also need, I'm going to do like a next time thing. And so it'll only be revealed in the second episode for next week that it was staged. But for the next time we need Zach to say a controversial opinion, like...
What, like I've just said?
Similar to that, but be like, next time on the Sour Popcorn Podcast. And then it'll be Zach saying
just like,
something
you're
like...
joking!
I don't know. Heaven Sent's the shittest episode since something.
Fear her.
Something like that. Yeah.
So I'm doing next time on Doctor Who, and then I'm kind of just...
Next time on the Sour Popcorn Podcast.
Yeah, basically the running through the corridor scene, and then in Love and Monsters, and then basically the TARDIS materialising in the wrong place gag in Fear Her is, I think, pretty much a stronger comedic or really dramatic moment than anything that Heaven Sent has got to offer.
You trying to be funny? Yeah, okay, so then another thing.
It's quite a horrible thing
We're
to
at
say.
2 hours already, bloody hell.
Fucking hell, seriously.
Nice. Right, so
we said, didn't we?
Yeah.
Kind of wow, this.
So hello and welcome back to the Sour Popcorn Podcast on our second part of the Doctor Who episode. This is literally just minutes for us, but
for you guys it's going to be next week, and it's kind of a bonus because we won't likely be available to do an episode next week, so we thought 2 parts, let's keep this epic conversation going. And because a season has passed, Boulder has regenerated, he's got an entirely new voice, he's got a new
exactly.
face. Speak like that for the rest of the podcast, they'd give you £100.
I wish.
So yeah, we're going to go back into like some of the group questions. We will have the speed round at the end of it, but we're going to come into kind of like the first question. It's kind of like we're looking forward to the future of the show now, and it's kind of like we're starting off by saying like Chibnall's the new lead writer, and it's kind of like, are we worried?
Yes and no. Yes, because his Doctor Who episodes haven't been like definitive, fantastic Doctor Who. Like when T. Davis announced he was stepping down, Moffat was the obvious example because he was the clear head, like not head, but he was like the clear one of the best writers working on the show at the time. So that was just a natural progression. But Chibnall, I would not say is the obvious pick, but Moffat said that it was his and the BBC's pick. I'm guessing the BBC liked him because of Broadchurch and his success over with that. But
I think he's been picked just because he's literally bankable as a showrunner. Like, they know he can run Torchwood, they know he can run Broadchurch quite competently. Yeah. Not been tested as a writer, though. He's written nothing besides the Torchwood episodes that I've liked. None of his Who episodes I enjoy. Like, I know they've got great character moments in each of them, but none of them are, like, really engaging narratives that I'm desperate to see unfold.
But I think maybe because he's a great writer, but not necessarily Doctor Who writer, he said, like, he pitched it to the BBC, this is my plan, can I do this? And the BBC said, yes, just take our money, do it. Hopefully, it'll be fresh and redesign what the show is to then be like a new, completely different era.
He tends to play on gimmicks quite a lot. You know,
we've got 10 minutes until something explodes.
No, that is it. The countdown, because you see it in 42. That's the one bit of 42 I really don't like.
And he's also responsible for, in my opinion, one of the worst episodes ever made, which is The Power of Three.
I love that episode.
Oh, I hate it. Wholeheartedly.
I'm a bit... Yeah, I'm 50-50.
Although missed opportunity, Philip Schofield, bring on the cube. Where was that?
Oh no,
where was that?
Oh, but also I'd say some of his Torchwood episodes are a bit meh, especially series 1. Thinking Day 1, the sex monster, not to be discussed thoroughly.
And then that security guard who's there on the CCTV.
Yeah.
Oh, this is an adult show now. We can do adult
Let's really
things.
push this point. This is an adult show. Don't let your kids watch. And then
I'm just really glad that T. Davies wrote Children of Earth.
Yeah.
Children of Earth is bloody fantastic.
It's the best thing to have ever come out of the Doctor Who canon. And I'm putting that on the line.
The children.
Because it's so scary, it's so character driven, and it's just so well put together.
And then you've also
I
got
want the children of this earth.
Cyberwoman, which is
So mad because the whole thing is that they don't have gender. Like,
exactly, it's not gender specific.
In regards to Cyberwoman, I'm going to take a quote from the 456 here. We want that to be kept off the record, off the record, off the record, off the record. Just don't even talk about it.
You can have it.
Yeah, cool. That's all right. So I'll make sure.
But like, he's written nothing but episodes I don't enjoy. But he has got a great new writing staff around him. Like, the stuff he's brought in, they're great. I'm really excited to see what Mallory Blackman does with the Doctor Who episode.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be really cool. Like, but just... Unless if he's got, like, a really great arc for the series, and that's just what he's hoping to do, that's what he's been brought in for, I'm very excited. But if he's doing individual episodes like he is with the old ones, I'm just not interested.
I feel like Mallory Blackman's going to write the South Africa episode. That's just a feeling I've got. It might not be true, but
I mean, she does nearly everything she writes about race, and it's all
exactly, yeah. So it's a clear logistical place to go, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, pretty much.
But no, I am worried about Chibnall, to be honest. Because
I haven't watched Broadchurch, and I know it's great. You guys never shut up about it.
It's a different kettle of fish,
but
isn't it?
It's a completely different show. It's like you can't. Even Torchwood's just such a different show. I know it's Monster of the Week, but it's just the premise is entirely different, and it's like, how do you kind of like go from a really dark, nail-biting ITV drama to going back to something that is wholeheartedly at its core a family show? Even though you can do the darker, more grown-up episodes, it is a family show.
I'm going to argue that Doctor Who's the best Monster of the Week series because of the interwoven bit, whereas like in The Flash it's quite jolted because like why couldn't they have been more as a villain, but with the TARDIS you can literally go anywhere. It then makes sense in the canon of the show and in the world of that to have the Monster of the Week set up.
I mean, I really like 42. I mean, I rewatched it today and I just think it's a great episode. I know you probably don't agree. You don't agree, do you?
I like it, but I wouldn't say it's
you wouldn't say it's good.
Moments, like,
and then you've got the Silurian two-parter in Series 5.
I thought that was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Again, it's just elevated by a scene. It's just the death of Rory's really, really great. I think the rest of it is just kind of like... Unless if it's that moment where he's like, oh, you scared of monsters? No, scared of me. Like that's good, but other than that, it's just like...
And then you got Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, which is just utter rubbish, I think. I
think it's all right, but
no, I just
for me it harkens back to kind of like what kind of who they would have done with like the sick for the.
I just think it's so
Doctor.
I just think it's so throwaway. It's just
it's really throwaway.
It's like 1 minute you're here, 1 minute you're there. Oh, we'll jump to this point in time, pick this person up, and take them here, and
completely wasted David.
Yeah, exactly. But the one part I do like is Brian Williams.
Yeah, you get Brian.
Rory's dad is just
first time.
Brilliant.
And even then, he's quite wasted in that episode. Like it's not until like I hate to praise Power Through, but it's even then he doesn't like really get his moment. It's like, you're taking my kids off and doing this.
No.
Do you ever think that's safe?
I quite like the Power of 3 as well because I mean reintroduce his unit again with Kate Stewart as well.
Although something that's made me very excited for Chibnall, it wasn't in the actual episode, but it was written by him. It's PS.
Yes,
it's what should have been in Angels of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And it's just
so criminally wasn't
Rory to Brian,
which is really good, I must admit.
And that's what he does well. It's character.
And you got Pond Life as well.
Yeah,
which I think is probably one of the best. Like,
something that tided us over until the new series.
No, exactly, and I think
definitely.
Like I said earlier, that bit with the Ood and that, I really like that.
Well, I think like we can't say a word until it starts.
Yeah,
no, totally.
We can't say anything, but we can show kind of concern. But what Moffat had a habit of doing is like he kind of brought back the Weeping Angels. They became the staple of his era. What would you kind of like to see as like an older villain? Not necessarily, they don't have to become the staple of the era. You can even pitch them just for one episode, even if they just want to come back. But like, what would you think would be like? I'm opening this up to new and classic. Like, what would be an amazing villain just to like come back and just think like, shit, they're here.
Classic Sontarans.
Yeah, that was on my list. Bring back the Sontarans and make them an actual threat again.
But I think make them the classic Sontarans. I think the new ones are slightly different. Like
they're too potato-y.
No, exactly. Yeah, I think the black suits and that they had in the classic series was so much more them.
I'm going to talk about the Sontarans on the next point, but I agree with you because I have a big point about them. But I'd love to maybe see the Vashta Nerada. Because I think you could... Because there's, like... Imagine, like, if you did that on Earth. Like,
they even...
Imagine if like, they did, like, a really cool, just, like, one-off... Like, a thriller episode. Oh, there's a solar eclipse. And it's, like... Even if you set it in a school or something, like, she's having to look after, like, a load of kids or something, and it's, like, she's trying to keep them safe or something.
That would be the caretaker done well.
Yeah, it really would be. It's, like... You put...
Good throwback there.
You give an actually scary monster, and it's, like... And you kind of relate it to the real world. Because, like... It wouldn't be something you could run from. It would just be an element of... And we know Chris Chibnall loves his countdowns. You can make the countdown an actual worthwhile thing for once. The solar eclipse isn't going to last forever.
Yeah, and there'll be everyone with their glasses looking out, and then...
Yeah. Oh my god, imagine like a really cool shot. Like everyone is like up in their glasses, and like, you know that shot where it's the shadow splits into three?
Yeah.
Like, everyone is stood there, and like you can see the shadow, and they just suddenly split into three. Like a really wide shot. Oh, I'd love that. That'd be really cool.
They do actually reference that in the adventure game. Shadows of the
Do they really?
Yeah, they say, you know, there are Vashta and Nerada on Earth. You know, they just feed on roadkill and that. You know.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
But I think, I totally agree with that.
With that, my list was quite extensive. I'd say like the Sea Devils. Or something.
That was on my list too. Yeah.
Or the Krillatane. Because
they
Especially
do
Mr.
something
Finch.
interesting with them.
Yeah.
Mr. Finch would be cool.
Or Omega.
Yes.
That'd be good to see
Yes.
back. Or something that I really want to stress, something original.
Yeah.
I know the question's about bringing stuff back, but I want to see new stuff because that's how it progresses. But something I would love to see in the main show, the Trickster.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. No, totally. Or just, you know, like in the wedding of Sarah Jane.
I think wholeheartedly, as much as I love him there, as soon as you bring him to the show, you've got... we've got to tie this in for continuity with Sarah Jane, and we don't want to do that anymore because that show's ended.
I think you make it a fairly, not necessarily Doctor Light episode, but you make it more companion thing.
Or bring in one other Pantheon of Discord, because that's what they, you know, the Doctor says, part of the Pantheon of Discord. Well, let's see that, you know, let's see that explored.
Or if like they kind of did like an episode along the lines of like whatever happened to Sarah Jane, but like they did it with the Doctor.
I love that episode.
And it's like the companion
so
has
it's like
to deal
the
with
turn
it.
left of...
Yeah, almost.
Oh yeah, that's
But it's like only the companion can remember it. Like that'd be also really cool. Is that the new companions remember, but the old companions don't. Like you could bring in some newer ones. Like I don't know, like
say Bill, because she'd still be there if the Doctor wasn't.
It just or something like that. And it's like you must remember him. It's like, well, no, I don't. It's like that was such a good episode back in the day. I'd also love, because I know SJ ruined them and they made them into a gimmick. Slovene. They were really cool back in the day.
Yeah, I've had a lot of discussion
and
about that. Really.
The CG, if they get extra budget, because I love that shot in World War III when they're running through the corridor and they're like hulking and they look like wolves and stuff and they look so cool. Like, and you could do something really interesting with that. But that's just because I want them in a cool shot.
In Sarah Jane Adventures, in What Happened to Sarah Jane, you know the woman who takes her place, so her friend,
Andrea Hart.
Yeah, the actress now has a cooking range at Poundland.
Really?
Andrea Yates, sorry. Sorry, bit of a nerd.
Sorry.
No, to be fair, I only watched that again recently because I'm doing a few more Sarah Janes again. But
at least I think so. The picture looks identical to her, and I think it is. But
nice.
Yeah,
that's where it gets you. See.
So another question, of course, is we had this at the end of 11's 10 year and 12 moved in. He got the phone call. Like, kind of, what's your like pitch? Your little like kind of goodbye from 12. And mine is you can actually make this really simple. You don't even have to have Capaldi come back, because I think bringing Smith back was really cheesy. It's really corny. It was like, oh god, really? I'm trying to get used to Capaldi. Don't throw him back down my throat and make me upset. I want to, like, she's walked into the new console. It's like, oh my god, this is so cool. And there, just on the edge, is a brand new bottle of brandy. It's like from the cupboard, it's from the 12th, and it's like, just go and enjoy it. Like, make new memories. Just something like really simple, because they force it down our throat, the jokes about it in like Twice Upon a Time. Then you could just make like a kind of a really nice thing about it. Like, she doesn't even have to say anything, and it can just be for us, the fans. Like, she just kind of like drinks it, and it's like, off we go.
I was thinking about this question a lot. On, like, obviously, like you said, it was a bit cheesy bringing Matt Smith back, but I would absolutely love mid-series or something like that, the Doctor's just done something really dark, like it's almost like a Timelord Victoria situation. She's like storms into the TARDIS, and then the TARDIS just plays "Be kind" or something like that, or like part of his end monologue.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of like she thinks about it and it tweets.
That would be
her
such
head.
a moment.
But it's just
Nice,
something like that.
Yeah, I've no idea. I just don't think that would be...
I don't want it to happen.
No,
but
I just don't...
To happen. Kind of like a little...
I think it was different with Moffat because it was both his doctors.
Yeah.
Whereas here...
Whereas Chibnall, he just got to establish himself and a new Doctor at the same time.
Exactly.
You know?
Although, like I kind of said, like with this next question, what's the piece of advice you would give to Chibnall? Like if he picks up the phone right now, and I'm gonna speak blasphemy, and I'm gonna say two things. Number one, it's make every episode a two-parter, because then you've got so much more time to establish the characters. Because it's becoming Merlin and Scooby-Doo. It's becoming such little time for exposition. Build something interesting.
I would agree if we didn't have Series 9. Because then it felt like a gimmick when there were too many.
I think when SJ worked that well, though, with that many two-parters, or even if you did it like Children of Earth, it's like 10 episodes to a really dedicated, interesting storyline. But my main point I want him to do is I want him to get the Americans to take the rights to Doctor Who away from the BBC. I want something like HBO to take it, something that's got a budget, something that's going to commit to like establishing a new fan base, because HBO do beautifully with fan bases. They treat their fans well, they bring a lot of merchandise, scary amounts if you look at Game of Thrones. HBO has got the biggest budgets that you can get, and something that Doctor Who desperately needs is a budget. You just talked about the Sontarans, about how you'd love to bring them back and make them a threat. They make a comment in like that episode, it's like, well, they make 1 million clones a minute. Imagine seeing an army like that realised on the big screen, like on the show, like, and you get to see like it's money behind it. Plus the fact you then start bringing it over to the West, you can start doing some more interesting ideas, because I love Day of the Moon and The Impossible Astronaut because it's in the West. They kind of got the British characters amongst the Yanks, and then also you can start bringing in some American actors. And I just think the BBC is so hesitant with this show, like about how it needs to remain this family show. We've got to keep this sacred. We need to make this work. Like we've got to pour what we can into, and they're just not giving it enough to be as good as it could be. People complain, oh, why is he so obsessed with Earth? It's because we've got no money to take him anywhere else. If you put him in HBO's hands, where there's actual money, or maybe even Netflix's hands, he can go fucking anywhere.
I would really argue against that, because Series 6, they tried to branch out into America, and so it was all set over there, and it was a whole big thing. But then, now they've got the American audience, they love it because it's that quirky British show.
I think it can still be that quirky British show, though, like, just in America.
I think the BBC having it makes it that British, though. You see what I mean? You know, like, the whole history of Doctor Who is like the wobbly sets, you know, it looks a bit dated almost, you know?
But it's like, that's only appealing to so many people. And it's like, we love it because we've grown up with it, but a load of new fans like are like, oh god, this looks kind of really bad at points. It's like, it's so much of a struggle to try and get new people to watch it, because they're like, oh, this is really, really bad at points, just because it looks awful. And it's like, if you've got then something behind it that can just entice a new audience, because I'm not doing it on the front of like, I hate the fact that it's wobbly sets. I'm just doing it on the front of I want the show to survive. Because I think if it keeps with the BBC, it just won't. I think there will inevitably come a day when it's like, we are burned to the ground. We can't do this anymore, because it's such an endeavour for them to make it, and I think there'll come a day when they can't.
I think with Bake Off it was different with them not being able to keep that, but I think Doctor Who would be one of the last things that the BBC sell, because it is so profitable for them.
I don't say it ever will, it's just I think something like that needs to happen.
But if Chibnall was on the phone now, I could give him any advice, I'd say don't be a slave to the canon. So obviously don't be obnoxious with it on, completely disregard everything from the previous series. But if there's been like a small throwaway line or something in a previous series, don't feel like you then need to link it all. You tell your own story. If you get what I mean?
Yeah. So I think what I didn't like was their whole Capaldi face thing in Series 9. You know, like they had to tie that into Series 4. like.
Oh yeah.
So
You know,
this is the reason why.
This is the reason why he's
Yeah,
got
got
this
his
face.
face,
It was a subconscious thing.
Yeah,
like,
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but
to me,
would
that
that
was
have
the
happened?
only interesting part of the episode.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Besides the Maisie Williams scene.
Yeah,
Even
I didn't really like that
them,
though, to be honest.
But no, I give
Tying
you
it in,
that. It's the main best scene of it.
So, I'd say if I had Chibnall on the phone, I'd say don't rely on fan service
Yeah.
and the gimmicks that you know.
Because it kind of has.
Does rely on his gimmicks quite a lot. You know, like the countdown, like we've already said. You know.
I think as well, just take risks with it.
Yeah.
Because I think we talked about this when we did the review for Logan. I think the fact that it works so well because it recognised we have grown up, and I think Doctor Who needs to do that at times. Like, I understand that it has at times got to be a family show, but sometimes there can be that recognition of it's like, oh, maybe some of my fans were 5 years old when this started, whereas now they're like in their 20s. We can be a little bit more like riskier, like appealing to them almost, because not the show isn't still appealing, but it's like it's still that very family kind of show.
I would say take risks, and then not necessarily in the same way that you said it, but I'd say take risks, and then if it doesn't work, the fans will tell you. Then maybe go in the opposite direction in the next series. Don't just always play it safe. And I feel like with them casting a woman as the Doctor, they're definitely taking risks.
Make the change. That's another piece of advice. Make the change actually worthwhile. Like, don't just make it. We did it because we could. So we also we had the kind of the concept, like what concept would you like to see return here? So we're kind of going to the next one. Saying this a hell of a lot about. Are we worried about Jodie Whittaker?
Only in the same way I've been worried about every single other Doctor who's been cast before it's their first series.
Exactly.
Because she's proven herself time and time again to be a brilliant actress for comedy as well as drama. So I'm not worried about her capabilities as an actress.
Yep.
I'm more worried about, one, if they'll keep pointing fun and having like loads of really cringy humour about her being a female. I'd love it if they didn't reference it at all. They just rolled with it. And if when she has her big feeling, like self, like, oh, well, I'm like the whole Matt Smith bit. I'd love it if she was like, I'm not ginger, and then that's the bit that she picks up on.
Yeah.
I think the only person that should ever reference the fact that she's a woman should be her.
Yeah.
Like, it should only be her that makes jokes about it. It shouldn't be anyone else.
No,
I can't remember where I heard it. It may have even been, I don't know, but I only want them to reference it if it's, one, in service of the story, two, not cringy. Like, imagine if they go back to Victorian London and the Doctor's always used to being able to go to everywhere and they can't get in somewhere because she's a woman, and then, I don't know, say the Doctor has to work around it or something like that. But
So I think we've kind of like taken some time now to sort of look forward, but of course we've recently just said goodbye to like the end of an era. Like the Moffat and T. Davies era is essentially now dead. It's gone. Wholly new writers, wholly new stage designers, music. It's in with the new. So if we look back on kind of like the big stuff that's gone, like it's defined our childhoods, and like the kind of the first question we've got is, what's the worst storyline? When I say storyline, I mean kind of episode. And like, what really is the worst storyline? You can say a worst storyline, but the worst ever episode in your mind.
I know it's famous to hate on it, but especially when I watched it as a kid. Admittedly, I haven't watched it in ages, and that's for a reason, but I enjoyed Love and Monsters as a kid.
There are great... I like scenes in it, but I just completely get why it's bad.
Yeah, I just don't understand it coming from that time, you know? Just, especially in Series 2, you know? I know it's a risk, but it just seemed unnecessary at the time. I don't know, it's just... Same with Fear Her. I do think, you know, with age, I do think Fear Her is a lot worse than Love and Monsters. Just because it's...
Just that
just
can't
why?
act.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not trying to be a dick or anything, but she just can't. I'm sorry, that's rude.
I do love the bit before the title sequence, though, when it's the drawing and then it suddenly comes to life and it starts running and it's screaming. But
I just love when it goes, oh, what's her name? What's the little girl's name?
Yeah, who knows? Who cares?
I forget. And it's like,
exactly.
The dad is like, he says his name, your daddy's here. That was like kind of like a...
Oh, it's
dear.
Chloe, isn't it?
Chloe.
they talk about interesting ideas that to do again, because that there were all like interesting things about it, although I didn't like how the dad was like a big scribble or
and then you got the scribble monster as well that attacks Rose, and it's just like, really?
But some interesting ideas in there. But for worst episodes, not sure. There have been some pretty poor ones.
Would you like to go?
Yeah, Hellbent. Just you bring back Gallifrey, and you do it in a way that just changes the character of the Doctor. Like he shoots the guard.
I love that though. I love that.
Yeah, but it's just not him.
I know, but that's what I like about it, because he's becoming desperate. It's like he doesn't want to lose another person who can't face it.
I only like that because he's like, how many regenerations do you have left?
Yeah, like he seriously weighs up the options.
But then, and then you get Rassilon. But then they say, "Oh, bugger off! You can bugger off now."
Yeah.
Where does he go?
I do love that standoff where it's like that he screams.
Yeah, like I get it,
like,
but
and then they miss.
You look at Hellbent all the way through. Where's the storyline? There is no storyline. Like all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we'll do this. Oh, and then we'll go down here. Oh, and then we'll just steal a TARDIS. And then where are we going? Oh,
also interesting idea. In like, was it the cellar of Gallifrey where it has those people essentially on the hoverboards?
In the Matrix.
Yeah, in the Matrix on the hoverboards with those faces or whatever it was. It'd be cool to see them properly.
That'd be cool. I just like Hellbent as well because it is Jenna Coleman a waitress outfit, which is like a really kind of like franchise high, and it's just I'm really not trying to like sound sexist or derogatory. I just think she's an extremely attractive woman. Extremely attractive.
I must admit, I did like the subversion in Hellbent, where the whole time you're thinking it's Clara who's forgotten. And at the end it's like the Doctor.
Do you want to hear my worst ever episode?
We do. And I do.
I think it's the Next Doctor. That is, in my opinion, just...
Boulders face.
Like, that is just...
No.
Prime shit storytelling. Like, not only does it completely break the rules of one of the greatest episodes ever made for the show, Doomsday, but it just utterly assaults itself on the message it's trying to make. First of all, the entire concept of the Cybermen being in this episode is just completely stupid because he's established so heavily the fact that these parallel walls cannot be broken, you cannot access the void, and then there's the throwaway line, oh, they must have bleeded through. There's no reason they can be there without completely retconning the end of Doomsday just because you want them there. You introduce the stupidest, I think, villains ever, the Cyber Dogs. What were they called?
Not Cyber.
Hounds?
Yeah.
They're stupid.
Slaves.
Why? Yeah, but why would you need a cyber slave? Because they literally established the element of like, oh, we're only putting the best of humanity into these things. There's a reason they say you are incompatible.
I totally agree.
Why do you build these things? If it's then to like come up with the idea of like, oh, what happens if you put a dog in the suit? Why has it then got it completing human actions where it's sat at the front of the carriage with the whip and it's whipping the horses? A dog wouldn't do that. David Morrissey is awful in this episode. Like, honestly, acting-wise, he's abominable. He's just trying so hard to be campy. He gets no real moment to be angry. He gets one moment to be, like, upset, and then it's just thrown away so quickly. Especially seeing as how he's just come off the franchise high of the Water Horse, where he's, like, talking to that young hand. He's like, come on, Angus, put your back into it, lad. We're going to give you some responsibility. We're going to turn you into a soldier. Now, Mowgli, I don't know who you are, if you're a spy or just simply a coward. Stay out of my way. And that's a perfect thing. I don't need him to come back into this. I hate the shitty scenes with just, it's like, oh, I'm looking forward to this. It's like a fucking hot air balloon. You set up an amazing potential future companion, and I think her name's Rosetta. Is it?
Yeah,
she's really cool. She actually thinks for herself. She's kind of kick-ass. She doesn't take any sass from anyone. Leave her behind for, like, no reason. You then throw into some kind of, like, message about it's the children in the workhouse. Doesn't work. The villain, that woman, Hartigan, I can't bear her. Nothing is interesting about her. Her backstory makes no sense as into why she'd want to join them. The fact that they bring out the Cyber King, I'm literally waiting for an Asian person to run by and scream, oh, it's Godzilla, just mecha. The Cyber King has got to be the stupidest idea this thing has ever come up with.
London.
Like, seriously, how do you ever contemplate putting that into a period setting without that being remembered for eons without that being justified? And just wholeheartedly, they're coming up with this stupidly special message of them. It doesn't matter if you're the Doctor. Anyone can be special if they tried. Anyone can do the things he does. Anyone can save the world if they just give it their own effort. He literally retcons that fucking message with an info stamp where he literally pulls his life story out onto the wall. It's like, no, you're just an ordinary bloke. I am the special one. And it's literally, how does he stop him? He pulls a stick from a cube and fires a laser beam at it. It's just stupidly poor. And quite frankly, the fact that they always make the period settings look really accurate, this one just looks awful. They've just literally like done generic half the street of old London. Literally, you see like the city emerges and it's the two cast members from the previous scene. It's just
bit of a.
I hate it so much. I've hated it since I was a kid. Like, because I was very hyped for Morrissey, and it turns out to be nothing.
That's really interesting me. That
I hate it.
Yeah, no.
Bit of trivia for this episode. The
workhouse was the Torchwood set.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's as bad as you're saying it is.
I really hate it.
No, exactly.
Also, weird observation. You know, at the end, his kid's there.
Yeah.
His kid has strangely long eyelashes.
Yeah.
Also,
very
very blue eyes and very.
It's just coming up with a really dumb story idea. It's putting no kind of like proper effort into justifying the Cyberman. And it's just it retcons one of the greatest endings of all time, Doomsday, like the fact that we can no longer see each other if suddenly, all of a sudden, these things can bleed through the different dimensions. What is to stop him instantly trying to see Rose? What is to stop it? It retcons something so well done, narratively.
If they came up with a different reason for the Cybermen being there.
No, I totally agree with that. Yeah. But, no, I really like the Cybermen in this episode, actually.
And another point. We made the point earlier about how I'm remembering Love of Monsters when it's like they're running through the corridors like it's Scooby-Doo. This is totally topped by them holding onto the rope and being pulled on their bottoms. That scene hurt. That was just...
Their bottoms?
On their
I
bottoms.
don't say asses because I respect Helen and Morrissey and I won't speak horribly of them in this. But it's just
literally
like,
just
there you go.
Morrissey was shit.
the shit in this, but I don't want to talk about the man's ass because he's got a lovely bottom. But
there you go. You heard it here first, guys.
It hurt like this episode, and it was like because these 4 specials have been so hyped. You've just had this came before Planet of the Dead, didn't it?
Yeah. It was literally the one before. Yeah.
It's like, oh god, 2 of them are awful, 2 of them are fantastic, and it was like, oh, why did we go through this?
I'd argue Waters of Mars is the best of the specials.
Yeah, I agree.
Easily, yeah.
Even though it goes a bit like up its own arse at the end, it's still a great episode. It's really scary.
No, but I totally agree with the fact that Miss Hartigan's a bit of a...
She's got nothing. It's just like we just need a weird villain for no reason.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to think now.
That's better than Dr. Mysterio, though.
Yeah, whatever.
By a long mile.
Quality. It's just. I'm talking like a bit of personal at this point. It really grinds my gears every time I have to think about it.
I think the whole Jackson Lake, him like discovering that he is actually Jackson Lake. I think that's a really good explanation.
I think it's rushed.
I think at the time as well, I was a bit like, oh my god, is it actually the next Doctor? You know, like, you know, you do think, you know, but then you get the whole TARDIS being the hot air balloon. Yeah.
Do you know what would be fucking fantastic?
What?
David Morrissey, becomes a future Doctor. He has to go into hiding, like in Family of Blood, and that was the Doctor.
Oh my god, that would be so good.
Then I'll actually like the episode because they've pulled the greatest hoodwink of all time. Then I'll like the episode.
Imagine that actually happening.
That'd be
copyright Donna Noble.
Patenting that, BBC. Contact me.
Hit me up.
Let's bring some positivity now. Best monster of the show. Like monster / alien, like whatever.
Or just villain.
Yeah, whatever.
Best villain? There is a case to be made for the Master because it's the Moriarty of the piece. But I'm not sure. It's like deciding your favourite film of all time. There are just too many to... And
they're just so diverse. But
I'd say the Cybermen. To be honest,
I prefer them to the Daleks.
I do
Daleks,
because
always have.
Especially the Mondasian Cybermen because they're so human. human point too. They literally, even more than the new series,
Yeah.
you can see how they're human, and the voices as well.
How shit are the Cybermen introduced in Nightmare in Silver, where they're literally just Iron Man, complete with arc character?
They're not even, you can. It's just.
A part
of
the new Who Cybermen thing that's so scary is the stomp.
Yeah.
And the stomp is vacant.
I think the stomp is more iconic than exterminate in my mind now. It's become so synonymous with just that. Like, I hear that and I instantly think, fuck, we're screwed.
I think it's so scary is because you can run, but you can't get away from it. Like, it's just constantly there. They're machines. They can't...
Plus the fact they always make the stomp really good with the music. Like, when Ricky gets killed with the fence, like, they just always, like, they put the music in with the stomp and it just works.
No, it's Mickey.
Oh, it's Mickey.
I love it when they're there in the lounge and he's there and they've got him tied down. It's like, who the hell are you? I'm Mickey. No, I'm Ricky. I love that. Also, part of that two-parter, when Mickey goes to his grandma's house and there's that splayed bit of carpet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like laughing. I thought it was a nice.
I thought it was pretty hilarious, to be fair.
I thought it was a nice heartfelt moment.
I literally thought you were going to say, we split the carpet so she trips and dies.
No, I said it was a nice heartfelt moment.
That's totally ruined that scene forever now, isn't it?
I literally thought you wanted him to kill off his own grand.
No. I was going to say it reminded me of the bit in Breaking Bad where they hint it with the rug, with the foreshadowing. And
oh,
later
yeah.
Actually, but...
Actually.
Oh, dear.
So, are you having that?
Okay, thank you. You have it if you'd like it.
For sure.
I'm quite full, really.
Carry on.
I'm going to say, for my best monster of the show, because... Although, for me, 100% Weeping Angel is the most iconic, like, the scary in my life. Like, that still scares me to this day.
Because Dalek and Cybermen, very science fiction. Weeping Angel, like you said at the end of the episode, when it housed it could be anywhere, petrifying.
But I think
definitely
something that made me change my mind is the fact that all three of those villains were ruined in a way. Got the game in Cybermen, the Weeping Angels were made in kind of a gimmicky thing, and then Daleks are just like, no, who even knows anymore? Whereas I think something that has still not left my mind to this day, that is still just scarily just... I think about it at night sometimes, I just think of the infinite story capabilities of what it did. And it was the Midnight Entity. And the fact that they've never gone back to it, the fact that it was something he was terrified of, and it was just... And it kind of links into what I was talking about with the Stephen King thing, like kind of last week, where it's like, you don't need the explanation, you remember the fear. Yeah. Those moments.
What you don't see,
yeah.
And that bit where you just get knocking all over the craft,
So when they specifically say, like, what's that in the distance? And you don't see it, and just...
exactly,
like, oh, it's just... And then they try and... I love how they kind of retcon themselves with the ending, where it's like they try and, like... Because most of the Series 4 episodes, they always ended with, like, them having a joke as they climbed in the TARDIS, where it's like, it's her trying to do the joke, and he's just like, don't.
Yeah.
And it's just like... And it kind of, like... Because I can remember going to bed that night, and I was kind of like... I'm not normally as happy as I am when I've watched this show in the past. I'm not really, like, kind of upbeat at the moment.
I remember as a kid watching Doctor Who, and then Mum and Dad always being like, oh, it's Doctor Who, so it always gets good in the end, but then in this episode it doesn't.
And I think it's elevated so perfectly because she performs it so well. And I think that's, like, the fact that they just took the time and the effort just to, like, make that repetition just work so well and to, like, film it perfectly.
Leslie Sharp in that episode is amazing.
Incredible.
I would love to sit down with Russell T Davies for days with many, many cups of tea. I'd obviously talk to him a lot about Doctor Who and other projects.
This would be the top of my list.
For hours and hours and hours, just picking his brain on this episode.
Because it's just...
It is one of his best episodes by far.
And you're just left speechless at the end of it.
I'd argue his best singular episode.
Yeah,
like, not
two-parter.
Not
agree with
like
you.
series arc, but his best.
I just don't understand when he says, when people say to him, "Oh, what's the, what do you think is the best episode you've ever written?" And he just says Gridlock, and I'm like, but you've written Midnight.
Well, Gridlock, where they come up with a really cool idea about how people are inhibiting emotions and they forget it after 10 minutes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I like that because it's like when they released Bliss, the world died in 7 minutes.
Yeah, but they don't go nearly as heavy on it as they could.
Yeah.
And I think they really, really could have. That upsets me, but...
Yeah,
I think why Russell might have that as was one of his favourite episodes is because maybe in his script he leaned in on that more, and so it was better than what we actually finally got.
And then the tie-in with the Face of Bo to Master coming back as well. Maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe. Anyway.
But no, I think as well the fact the Midnight entity really works because they've never explored it again. And I think...
And that's why it works.
And I think almost as well, they never could do it again almost. I think Leslie Sharp is just so iconic with that. She was so scary. I think if you tried to do it again, it would just seem like kind of really forced, almost like kind of copied. Whereas I think she is just so scary in what she does that it's like... I don't need anything else from this because it's so iconic and ingrained in my brain. And to be a one-off episode to do that more than like something like a Dalek or a Cyberman is like really just speaks volumes to the testament and quality of the show.
I get why they have to have a Dalek every series so the BBC can keep the rights, because otherwise it'll go back to the Terry Nation Foundation and they'd do extortionate prices to have them back. Yeah. But I think that
who knows?
Used.
Yeah, who knows for Terry Nation, because apparently we got no Daleks in Series 11. But we say that.
Although in Series 10 they were only in there for 2 seconds?
The cameo, yeah. In the pilot,
I like that.
No, exactly, yeah, that's better.
That, yeah.
And then you get in Series 6 when they're in Wedding and River Song at the start.
Yeah. Do you remember they had cameo. Like the poster for Series 10? It was like there was a Dalek on the poster. It was like they were in it for 2 minutes.
Yeah. I love the Movellans in the pilot, by the way, just to say. You know that they're in that scene, and Moffat just goes, "Oh, it's a throwaway moment. If you see them, you see them." And it's like that's good. That's good fan service.
Like that's like it makes it feel like a more grounded, because it wasn't like a whole link to the audience. Like, oh look, it's them. Yeah. It was like just them in the background. If you noticed them, you noticed them.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you take it or leave it. You know,
like, it wasn't like the person in the episode in Series 10 that Mark Gatiss wrote where they're on Mars with the... What's it called?
Empress of Mars?
Yeah, Empress of Mars, that's it.
The Ice Warriors, yeah.
That's why I like it in... it's not End of Time. And when they're... His name's Alonso, he gives Jack the name of the bar.
Oh, yeah.
And they're wandering around in the background, like you see a Slovene, you see a...
Yeah, in the End of Time, yeah.
Just all them.
Now that is a bar that I want a spin-off for.
It writes itself, man.
Okay, it's just like the wacky antics of that bar or something. But yeah, that's an interesting place.
We have seen something similar like that again, though. Like Series 6, Wedding River Song, he goes in this sort of bar bit, and then again in Series 9 when the Davros is looking for the Doctor, you go in this place and you see like a couple of ood.
Something I want.
Who's that character?
Yeah.
Something that might be quite interesting to do again is the live chess with Mark Gatiss.
Yeah. That was quite good.
I'd love to play that in real life.
It was.
I mean, I hate that episode so much, but yeah, that was a good.
It was only years after I saw the behind the scenes thing. I was like, "Bloody hell, that's Mark Gatiss."
Yeah, no, exactly the same. Yeah.
I was like, he looks a bit odd. But it's not like the taboo fat suit Mark Gatiss.
No. Oh god, yeah.
Oh no, that was the beautiful thing of television, man. It's one of the highest the BBC has ever achieved. Never, it's that and Merlin. Never ever trash on it, my friend. So we'll move from kind of like I think we've kind of talked an awful lot about regenerations, so we'll kind of move on from that one. But we'll move from the monsters of the show to kind of the more human element and like kind of what's the best companion. I'll give you new and classic. And I'd like to put my piece out for Amy. Because Amy's really great. Amy's always funny. Amy's always reacting to things in a funny way. She's, again, really, really hot, and that helps. And it's just like, she's just hilariously good in every situation she's in, whether she's got to be that crying character, she's got to be the sassy character, whether she's got to be the really strong-willed character. I just enjoyed every episode she's in. And then even when they do, they put the time into those really character-drawn episodes, like The Girl Who Waited, or what you call it,
Amy's Choice.
Amy's Choice, yeah. Just, I miss the Dream Lord. But just moments like that, they're really clever.
Not that I agree with you, but I see where you're coming from. But
yeah, she was really shittily written in the later series.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. I just think the way she got killed off, I still hate that to this day.
With the Dream Lord, sorry, just going to Amy's Choice. At first, when I first watched it, when I was 10, I was annoyed when it's like, just a bit of pollen. But then I really thought about it, and the Dream Lord is the dark version of the Doctor, like in his own head.
Yeah, because he looks at it.
And that's why I really like it.
No, definitely. Yeah. Amy's Choice is one of my favourite ever episodes.
And I hope they never touch the Dream Lord again.
No, exactly. That's one of those things they shouldn't touch.
Because they won't get Toby Kebbell back. And
Toby Jones.
Jesus Christ, Toby Kebbell, Toby Jones. They'll never get him back because he's just so busy at the moment. And I think I don't want anyone but him. Because he just played it so sinisterly.
But yeah, if I had to choose Nuhu, it's obviously Donna. It's got to be Donna. It's just you won't never get a companion that's so comedic yet can do the emotional elements too. I just don't.
Departure, I would argue, is the most emotional.
Yeah, exactly. And that scene in Fires of Pompeii when she's just like pleading with him, save one of them.
And yet, when she's not given those really great emotional moments of levity, I think she's really one note and quite dull. Because a lot of the time it is just her reacting to things and making jokes. Like, when it was Martha, like, she was, like, literally picking up a thing to fight them or, like, getting extremely angry. Like, I have that scene where, like, I forget the guy who runs Hooverville, he gets shot and she gets really angry. Like, just shot him on the spot. Solomon, yeah.
How am I doing for trivia right now?
Yeah, you're doing fucking well, mate. And it's like, and then when it's just, Donna, it's just like, she kind of just jokes a lot. Like, she's hilarious, and she has those really great moments where it's like, save one of them, or I want to go home, or just those moments are great. But other than that, there are just a lot of them where it's just like, just them two joking.
I just think she was such a different. She was just so different to Martha that she just succeeded.
Yeah,
she wasn't the romantic one, or
no,
she didn't want a relationship with the Doctor.
I think if they changed one thing about Martha, we would all unanimously agree she was the best companion. If she didn't love the Doctor, she would be the best companion.
No, definitely, because you watch most of the episodes in Series 3 and you think she's done a lot of that by herself.
That's why I think she is the best companion.
42, the two part.
That devastating moment where her vessel's just going
exactly
floating.
Human nature, family of blood.
Oh, Christ,
she's all by herself.
Not to mention the 2 years she endures during Sound of the Drums.
No, exactly. That's what I was about to mention.
I've literally walked the earth, like being hunted
for a whole year.
For a whole year, and I've done this.
And then she goes on to Unit for Series 4.
Yeah.
And then she's again
in Torchwood.
She's in
Torchwood, and it's like, she's so good. People wanted more of her.
I do love Martha, definitely, but I don't think she's the best.
I think Martha gets such amazing development as well because she hates him at the end of that. It's like, you have really fucked up my life. You have. Look at what you've done, and yet she just can't hate him because it's him, and he's done so much to make her life wonderful. And then even she becomes a point of challenge. Like, remember when they did Journey 10? It's like she's got the Oster of Harken key. She's willing to blow up the earth. She's becoming what he can't, and she's moved beyond what he is.
Yeah.
I love that about her. Like, they can continue to make a character that cool, even when she's not with him. And I just think she works.
I think if any companion is to either get a spin-off in comics or what have you, Martha Jones is someone I would love to see explored again and see what she's up to now. See what she's doing.
Yeah.
I hate Rose.
Yeah.
She's just...
Oh, that's a unanimous one. There you go.
It's just normally it's an argument or a fight to be like, so Rose isn't the best thing to have happened since sliced bread.
Really important character, but I don't care.
I mean, she basically was one of the reasons that drove Nine out, in a way, because they were going to explore the romantic element between them even more. And I was like, but that's not his character.
No.
Or the Doctor at all. No. He's not romantic. But yet, with her character, they pushed that. It's like...
Beautiful with River, because River is completely different.
Yeah. River isn't awestruck by him. River's just like, oh, shut up. And then there's that beautiful, beautiful scene that kind of proves a little bit that Billie Piper isn't the greatest actress as compared to some of the others. Like, when she's in the cafe, you don't just give up. You make a stand. You stand up for what is just, oh, shut up.
Yeah,
I think she's good in that scene.
I totally agree with Zach on that.
And she just she just pushes the table, just table wrecked, just runs off.
I mean, I love part of the ways.
She was an artist. She was a musician.
Yeah,
her stuff's on Spotify. And then it's like Brie Larson. She was in a band, and then she transitioned into acting, and now she's like brilliant in stuff.
Too right.
If you look at her stuff now, Secret Diary of a Call Girl.
We've all been looking at that. Yeah,
I think that there desperately needs to be a reboot of Secret Diary of a Call Girl, but it's either Jenna Coleman or Karen Gillan. But that's just me.
I don't think anyone would disagree with you, to be honest.
I don't think Karen Gillan's going to be in the MCU forever, and I think Jenna Coleman needs more of a chance than she's been given. But that's just me.
Gotta love Victoria.
ITV, call me, please. I've got ideas. It's really sad to say that I actually watched that show because I kind of enjoyed the plot, and it was kind of actually a cool
Victoria?
show. No, not Victoria. Secret Diary of a Call Girl.
Oh yeah.
No, it was actually kind of
watched it because I thought it was a
And
genuinely
Matt Smith in one episode as well.
Yeah.
I haven't actually watched any of Victoria, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
It's not that bad, but
I think we got to adjust the element in the room though. It was like Clara.
Can we not?
Because I really like her. I think she's great. I love seeing just like the dynamic of her running in between her life and not, and how just kind she is. Like she just kind of encapsulates 12's message. Like I love the Rings of Appertaining so much because of her. Because like she's being shown around this alien world, and she's just like putting it. It's like, are you okay? She's just trying to see if that little girl's alright. And it's just it kind of. And I know they throw a load down your throat with like the whole like, oh, I was born because of a fucking leaf, but it's like,
yeah, I just hate that whole impossible girl thing. It's just, she's not the biggest part of his life, you know. It's just,
I like it.
Although it's cool.
No one should be.
Moffat says every companion, like the current companion, needs to be the most important companion. It's like no,
they don't.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. They do it at that point.
She's the one they went too far with it with.
Because that was
she's the one that went
throughout
too
his
far.
whole life.
Yeah.
Whereas in that moment, it's like when they had Donna, it's like she was the most important woman in the universe for them.
Yeah.
Like that.
And then when they went to Amy, it was like she was important, but it wasn't like something that was through the entire tenure of her run. Like she wasn't like the girl who had the crack. She was that for like half a season. And then it was just like they kind of like went back to the mantra of, oh, she's the girl who waited just for like one or two kind of intimate moments. But then with Clara, it is kind of like, particularly at the end of season, what was it, 6? Like they're really ramming it down your throat. Oh, she's the impossible girl. It's like, oh, it's just. I don't dislike.
Way to fix Clara, keep her Victorian.
Yes.
Yeah, instantly, because she did that accent so well, and it was like.
And then you just wouldn't get the. I just don't like her as a modern day companion.
I want a companion that's not from modern present
exactly.
day.
That's why it worked, I think.
That's what I hoped Bradley Walsh would be, but I don't think that's what it's going to be.
I think
especially from him being in a chip shop in the trailer.
I think the reason they didn't is because it's already difficult enough to like have us modern day characters seem like amazed by all these aliens and stuff when we live in the pop culture world and we've seen the MCU and we know all this stuff like the back of our hand. It's like, oh, it just turns out it's actually real. You've then got to like, if you bring her 50 years forward into the future, you've got to have her reacting to the present day things, and then you've got to take up so much time in the script making her do that on top of reacting to the aliens. It's like, it's a great idea if you've got more time to write it, and at that point it's like, oh, we're like 15 pages in and we haven't even made it to the main plot point yet because they're just chatting, and it's like, oh, it's hard. And I kind of get why they maybe didn't want to, even though she was fantastic. I want to see more.
Or unless they have a companion that's not from present day Earth and they never go to present day Earth, and then when they react, then when they react to things, it would be how anyone else would react to things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Them reacting to everyday life.
Yeah.
Although there is that great moment twice upon a time we spoke of World War One.
Yeah.
That they could do small
something
things with.
like that. Even if they made it comedic, like she's like, I don't know, like she could say like, if it was like a girl in like the 80s, like, oh, I've just been watching the Star Wars, and then like he goes like, what, The Force Awakens? There's more than the original trilogy, like something like that, just to like impress her. Although we can also now go into kind of like the best third party companion.
What do you by that? Do you mean like Rory?
Yeah, your Mickeys, your Rorys, your K9s. For me, Rory's the best. Just because he's just so fucking wonderful as a human being.
Hold on, I'd have to say probably Rory, yeah.
Because it's like, and then you've got the whole thing like, they don't just make the main companion the most important companion, they make the third companion the most important third companion in the world because he's the last Centurion, and then it's the guy who waited, and it's...
True. I'll go Captain Jack.
Yeah,
basically, Series 1 Captain Jack, you know. a character so strong that torture was possible.
Yeah.
You know,
Stop flirting. I'm saying hello.
yeah, exactly. Just him and Nine are just,
and that's
you know,
that's the reason I said Rory with
amazing.
him. Because you get along with Rory, but you don't with Jack, and that's just so unfortunate.
True.
And it's like, otherwise Jack would have been the top of the list.
I want where like Captain Jack's likely to come back because it's Chris Chibnall. If he does come back, if only it wasn't a woman, because then people would blame it on that. Like, I want a doctor to flirt back with Captain Jack, like them to really love each other.
Yeah.
Well, not love each other,
Yeah.
but both like really
Play off each other. Yeah.
Almost like if River Song met Captain Jack. Now that is an audiobook way to happen.
I think it's going to happen. Yeah.
It'll happen one day. Like, I think Barrowman and Kingston are happy. They had that little moment in Arrow where they briefly met and didn't do any kind of reference for the fans, which was annoying, but hey.
Like in Infinity War, the director said it would be cringeworthy when asked, "Why didn't you do a no shit Sherlock joke when you had Cumberbatch and Downey Jr. there?"
This is the most predictable, stupid thing I think they've ever thought of. You're an idiot for trying to put it in.
It was funny. That joke was funny about 5 years ago after Benedict Cumberbatch was cast, and it was like, oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
But
Not so funny now.
Right, so I think we're going to go into these final... I'm going to skip one or two of these. I think we're going to go into these final 3 questions before we go into the speed round, because we've been going for quite a while. And my voice is...
do you guys want me to refill this, or are you alright?
If I get a little bit, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, basically I'm going to do overrated episode, best ever episode, and then best Doctor. And then we'll go into the speed round, which is the arguments again. Right, so we'll kind of move into these final 3 questions now before we move on to the speed round. And the first of these is most overrated episode. Like, one that everyone just really holds up and loves, and for me it's just kind of like really kind of meh, is Vincent and the Doctor.
I know. He told me that the other day.
Like,
Yeah.
It's just... This is written by the guy who wrote Love Actually and the Bridget Jones movies, and it's really quite clear because this is just shoehorning in...
I think Richard Curtis works well here because it has the good heartfelt moments as well as the
visual metaphor done well as well.
It's a really poorly done visual metaphor. It's really, really poorly done. If you want a good visual metaphor, you look at the Babadook, you look at Enemy, you look at Tully. That's done really well. This is just he sees natures differently. They do nothing to properly implant it, and it's just we can throw an alien in there properly because we can. If they wanted to make it a good visual metaphor, don't actually have the alien be real. Have it be something in his head. Then you've actually sold it on the idea. But no, they cowered out and they make it an actual alien. This episode has got the worst audio dubbing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
There is. Have you seen, you know the scene I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's the worst moment ever. And quite frankly, I think they're shoehorning in that romance just for the sake of it. Like,
Because they're both ginger.
Because they're both ginger. Like where he does his laugh at the end. It's awful. They waste Bill Nye. Like you
They don't even
credit him. Yeah.
It's just awful. You do not waste Bill Nye. He's literally there to give like a compliment. That's it. That's one of the best actors working today, and you waste him on an episode. And then it's just like everyone talks about how just like inventive and clever the monster is. It's one of the worst designed monsters I've ever seen. It's literally an oversized turkey with lion paws. And I'm sorry, internet. I'm sorry, but it is. They throw jump scares into this for no reason.
Is it called
just
Catharis or something? I think.
Yeah, fucking thing.
And
And then Amy jumps up on him twice because they've got no room for tension. There's nowhere near like exploring his mental faculties as near as they could, or how much he actually was hated. Like people burnt down his house in real life. They hated him that much. In this, they get 1 stone thrown at him, and she says, and he's like, "Oh, I won't serve you at the pub." The guy was like, and then the guy was fucking mental as well. Like he cut his ear off. Nothing like that. He has one scene where he cries a little bit.
I did like how they brought it back in the Pandorica Opens.
Yeah,
and it had the painting of the TARDIS exploding.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah.
And then
how
that's
Liz
really
10
good.
steals it from the thing or what have you.
And that's why Series 5 works. That
Yeah.
is
I'll give you that.
elements
That's
done
something that
well.
works for me.
Yeah, brought back well.
It's historically inaccurate because they say, "Oh, we've gone to the year of his death," and yet he's changed the flower painting. He did the flower painting 2 years before the episode's actually set, which really pisses me off as like a history student. And then also as well, Because this just really annoys me. The show is like they've done it nearly once every season. They did it with Charles Dickens, they did it with Shakespeare, they did it with fucking Agatha Christie. Like, are we done sucking off famous historical figures now? Like, let's not suck the ghost of his dick too hard. We can't say a horrible thing about Vincent van Gogh, can we? And there needs to be like at least 12 scenes where they're just wandering around in awe and astonishment at how great this person was. When it's like, oh no, he was actually wrong. He's just murdered an actually kind of innocent creature. Oh, we can't say an awful thing about Vincent van Gogh though, can we? Like, in the other ones, they actually take time to say, like, no, Charles Dickens, you're kind of a dick. You need to, like, actually own up for things. Agatha Christie, like, we're really sorry this has happened to you, but we have to put you through this.
Yeah, you've got to be honest.
This is, like, literally, it's just like, oh, we throw him in because we can. It's like, there's no reason to go back there. No, I'm sorry. I don't care if you're the Time Lord. There is no way you don't look at one of the most famous painters' paintings in the world and instantly spot that thing in the window and think, well, at least what is that?
Got to be honest, the historicals, the pure historicals with figures from the past, are some of my favourites.
Yeah.
And this is one of them.
There's some of the best episodes, but this one isn't, in my opinion.
Like, it would have been difficult with what they were trying to say about mental health to then blame Vincent for...
I don't think you need to blame Vincent. I think you just need at least a scene, though, where, like... Because Doc's never had a problem doing things like that with people. He's never had a problem with talking down to people, and I think they needed at least one moment like that.
I think that wasn't the 11th Doctor, though. Yeah. I don't think that would have suited his Doctor, though.
I think
he did it in A Town Called Mercy, and I thought that worked really well.
Yeah, it needed
episode not great, but when he's like,
yeah,
the people I love.
It's just, and then even then, it's like they do that really great moment where it's like, oh, Vincent knows why Amy's upset. How does he know? Like, I get he sees nature in a different way, and I get that, like, he's probably one of the greatest visionaries of our time, but it's like he wouldn't know that. Time has reset. You just don't know that. And even then, they never explain, if it's not just a visual metaphor, how he can see the bloody great big turkey lion thing. Because it's just stupid, because he shouldn't be able to.
I think it just works, though. I think it just provides those with mental health issues, just shows you that there is help out there and support is there almost. And
that's not a thing to be downtrodden upon. I just think, like, people celebrate. I get that. It's a very important episode to lots of people. It's just people celebrate this as one of the greatest ever examples of that. Like, it talks about mental illness amazingly, and it kind of really doesn't. Like, yeah, it's important, and I'm sure people can get something out of it, and good if they can, but people talk like this is one of the best episodes ever made, particularly of Series 5, and I think, Chris, even The Lodger's better than this one, in my mind.
I'm going to argue I quite like The Lodger.
Yeah, I think The Lodger's even better.
Not too bad.
It's like my least favourite episode
Closing
of Series 5.
Time, awful. But Lodger.
No, I love Closing Time.
Closing Time.
Really?
Yeah.
You know who said worst ever episode earlier? Closing Time was my backup.
Really?
Yeah, hate it. It's awful.
Oh, I love Closing Time.
Closing Time is like literally one funny scene. That's it.
No, I've got to be honest. No.
You have to admit,
really
Closing Time.
Stormageddon, Dark Lord of all.
I do like moments, but when, like, the helmet closes and then it reopens,
it's awful.
That's
True.
Too much. But if it was just closing and then it started going back, or something.
I like the idea in Closing Time. This is Smith's penultimate story before he's supposedly supposed to die, though, and he goes back and sees someone that
Yeah, do something kind of emotional with them, where he's like actually like, oh god, I don't want to go.
Yeah, no, but the whole point that it's love that defeated the Cybermen. Okay, that's a bit,
Just love, Murph, love.
Love more.
It's a bit cringy, but...
So yeah, kind of like, what are your guys' like most overrated episodes then?
Gridlock, definitely. I see a lot of love for Gridlock, and I'm just like, this is really bad. I don't really like Gridlock. I just don't think the whole concept of the cars and that underground, and why did you have to return to New Earth, I
think it's a really clever idea, but it's not done well. Like, I think that's a clever setting. That's a very unique setting. Like, they're all stuck in cars underground, but it's just...
It's not executed well.
Then it's not
and the
executed
CGI
well,
looks terrible in that episode.
Oh, the
let's be
macro
fair.
look awful.
I like the face of Bo in that episode, but that's the only thing I like, really. I don't think even Martha's that good in that episode either. Just stuck with those other people for the whole episode, and they're really flat and dry.
The girl that... Because you know that she's in with the two people for that episode.
Yeah.
You know the girl that's in that episode? Is she the girl from White Bear?
Yes.
Fairly certain she
Cheers.
is. Fairly certain. Because I love her.
And
she's an amazing actress, and she's wasted.
Bill's mum's in that episode, yeah.
Yeah.
She's with the cat person.
I just...
Go on, what's yours?
No,
Oh, you said it was only yeah.
I kind of want to defend Gridlock, but I kind of can't because it's just nothing.
You just can't, can you?
Can't. I'm interested to see what he says for this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to talk about Heaven Sent because we'll be here all day.
Oh dear.
It's just if you've had that long and then you have to spend an episode making us like your character, then you've done something wrong with your show.
The only thing wrong with Heaven Sent for me is that Hellbent follows it, basically.
It's just so predictable, and it's just like, if you need an episode to show how good show off how good your actor is, and you haven't been able to do that across the show.
I thought we weren't getting into it. So
Sorry. It's just he's taking a while.
No, I want you to get into it.
No, we're not
going to. Fuck it. No, don't bait me, sir. Warren Beatty.
Then you bring up Warren Beatty to me, sir.
Are you challenging me, sir?
I'd argue. Pains me to say it. Rose. Don't get me wrong, I like the episode, but a lot of people praise it and hail it as like the be all and end all of Doctor Who. But it's good. It's just not quite Carling.
No, I agree.
There's like no interesting action sequences at all, apart from maybe when they wrestle the hand. Because that's good practical shooting.
I like it in the restaurant or the cafe where he's then just smashing the tables.
Yeah.
But also an episode I don't see a lot of love for, but I don't see a lot of hate for. The Unquiet Dead's really meh for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I like it for the ending, and that's it. Like, I like it for the stuff with Gwyneth, because you do feel quite upset for her when she dies.
That's another tie-in we didn't talk about earlier.
Yeah.
The whole, that was, Gwen,
a
relative of Gwen or something.
Stupid idea.
Just it doesn't have to be a tie-in. It can be the same actor, It's not like they did that in the classic series when Colin Baker was in the Ark of Infinity and then he became the Doctor a few episodes later, But anyway, it's quite hard picking an overrated episode, to be honest, because, it's just a massive part of what I love, about television.
But I think it's just you can't deny there are some episodes people just blindly love. And I think you kind of do need to.
I think a lot of people blindly love Blink. I'd say.
Yeah, Blink has got a lot of problems. Like, there are moments where it could be fixed.
Oh, Blink is very overrated, but I just love it so much.
You love it, but it's got problems, and some people just won't hear criticisms about it.
No, exactly.
Vincent and the Doctor.
I don't like the fact that people say, "Oh, I'd show people Blink as the first episode." I'd be like, no, because that's not really a.
I did it.
I've explained it in other places, but I'll explain it on the podcast on my perfect plan on how to get people into Doctor Who. Right? You show them The Empty Child, because brilliant, really strong episode, introduces you to the Ninth Doctor, as well as it then being left on a cliffhanger, so the person instantly wants to watch more Doctor Who, so they watch the Doctor dances, and then after they've finished that two-parter, you then tell them to go back to Rose, and then they then watch the whole series. And that's better rather than showing them Blink, because it's a very Doctor Light episode. It's a good standalone, but it doesn't get them into the show. And it also tells them to not skip 9.
Yeah, because I showed someone Blink for the first time, because it was like they didn't believe me how scary it was, and they wanted to experience like my childhood fear. And the instant words out of their mouth is like, "Oh, is this what every episode is like?"
Yeah,
he's not in it very much, and I think that's an awful idea, because it's like you do need to establish that connection, and then when you do dances, you do instantly because you love him.
Another one I'd say would probably be Dalek to get in, because you instantly get an idea.
I thought you were going to say overrated. I was like,
no, as a first episode to show someone.
I'm thinking, do I want to say Dalek's overrated because it's been playing on the back of my mind?
No, Zach. No. Rob Shearman is one of the best writers who's ever worked on Doctor Who. Just putting that out there. Along with Paul Cornell.
Because it gets to a certain point and there are really bad moments in that episode.
There are also really
good ones, yeah.
That's why every single Dalek-centric episode since has pretty much copied from it.
Yeah, I know. But it's like those scenes where it's talking to Van Staten, I think, are really bad. Like, and I think the Adam scenes are
he
awful.
buys it because he thinks like that.
No, not Doctor when the Dalek talks to Van Staten. That's an awful scene, and I think the Adam scenes are great. I love the scene where he is with the musical instrument. He just like throws it. It doesn't matter, but the Adam scenes are awful.
The best thing about Dalek is that you kind of feel sorry for it.
Yeah,
and that's just like But how can you do that? You know, and it's just
they sort of peaked with Dalek. For the Daleks.
Yeah. Didn't need
you haven't had a better
from the
Daleks.
big world-ending plots, like series arcs.
Yeah.
I think for me, I would have been happy to have never seen them again after maybe Parting of the Ways.
No, I'd say bring them back for Doomsday because they worked well in that. Just don't do the series 3 two-parter.
Love the series 4 two-parter though.
So what you say? You say the end of series 2, they all just get sucked into the void and we never see them again.
I'd just say take out series 3 two-parter because I don't really like that one.
I do.
It's all right. It has its moments.
Yeah. Well, I think,
but
if we've gone over it, then we're clearly talking about one of the best episodes ever made. We can kind of go into the next question, like what is, like you can go from this from a personal stand, or you can go from it from an objective. I'm going personal and objective. What is the best ever episode? Because I can give you objective, and I can also give you personal. Like objectively, for me, just like the best ever episode that they made, just wholeheartedly is the 11th Hour. I think that's fantastically well done. That gets you into it instantly. You're connecting with him so well and you just love him. And I think the threat is real. Sets up a beautiful establishment for what the series is going to come towards. And then I think personally it's A Christmas Carol, because that's just such a heartfelt and moving story, and just how like he doesn't have to save that bloke, and yet he ultimately just decides, because I can, I'm going to make him a better person. And then you get Catherine Jenkins does that absolutely amazing song that remains on my phone to this very day, and I play when I feel depressed. The little kid who went on to play young Charles Xavier in First Class is brilliant in it. I love the idea of it's a fish pulling them on the sleigh at the end. It's a big shark. I love those sequences because they just like... I know you kind of need like a bit more of a playful episode for Christmas. I like how that's kind of a playful episode.
Yeah.
With the sharks, and it's kind of funny. And I like that.
Okay, I'll go with your style. I'll say objectively and kind of personally at the same time, although I've got another personally one. I'd say Empty Child Doctor Dances.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best ever episodes, to be honest, because it is literally Moffat at his very best. But then, if I was going to go one of my personal favourite episodes, Waters of Mars. It's got to be.
I disagree with you.
I love
absolutely love Waters of Mars.
It's the end. He just puts his head up his own arse so far, and they just make it so much about him. And I think it's really important that they focus on the fact that it's Adelaide's decision to kill herself, and that's a really quick thing that isn't given much attention. They focus too much on him with like this whole, and I really like when he first starts it, where it's like the laws of time, they outmind, and then he just keeps on going with that manic stuff, and it just kind of gets a little bit like a bit much for that scene.
I just love that bit at the end. He's like, "Oh, I've gone too far," you know, and then it just so brilliantly sets up the end of time. Just me.
I'm going to argue 3 episodes as the 3 best in both objective and subjective.
Can I just interrupt you quickly? Imagine a series 1 where there was never the empty child and the Doctor dances. Would it have been as good?
I think it still would have been as big as it is now. It just
wouldn't have been great.
As good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Midnight.
Yes.
Wholeheartedly. Can't disagree.
This one, you have to be a Doctor Who fan. It's not one to get people into it, but Doctor's Wife, because that's just a love letter to fans, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Neil Gaiman's fantastic.
It's the only Neil Gaiman episode he's written that I like.
Well, he's only done 2.
That's right, done more than 2.
No, he's just done 2.
Has he? I thought he could have done.
Yeah,
it's not hard to like the other one either.
I saw he did a Capaldi one, didn't he?
No.
Oh,
they
just did that one in
pressured him
Nightmare in
into doing
Silver.
Nightmare in Silver. And,
We know the end result. Unfortunately.
And God Complex.
God Complex is my second favourite episode of all time, and I love it so much.
Really? Yeah,
it's just so good. I love it. And
I don't find myself rewatching it that much, to be honest.
Oh, I do.
Every time I want to watch the show, I watch that episode because it just feels so The Shining for me.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love the premise of it because I just think literally David Walliams' room is my room. It just is. That's my room.
I love
what about the Weeping Angel room? That's your room,
that's
surely.
David Walliams' room.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
That's my room.
I thought that was the clown for a minute.
I love like even just the small details where it has like the marks in the ceiling from where
the horns,
like when it's the photographs of the people in the shirts and the ties, and it's like you can see like the Novice Haim or a Sontaran or a Jadoon. Loads of things have been put in that place, and you've just got like, oh god, how did like a Jadoon go down against the Minotaur? And it's like,
was that was Toby Whithouse, wasn't it?
Yeah,
his finest hour.
I do like it, but I wouldn't say it's one of my favourites.
And there's just that beautiful moment where he's with Amy and he's just like, I don't have to wait anymore.
Okay, but sorry, just going back to something quickly. How did none of us bring this up for worst episode? Forest of the Shite.
I was waiting for you two to do it. I was genuinely waiting for you two to do it.
I don't know how it slipped my mind. It
I was
wasn't the worst
seriously
episode.
waiting for you two to do it. I thought one of you was.
There was quite a few though, to be fair. I mean, yeah, totally. And the fact that they brought that writer back to do another one in Series 10, and that was like a little bit better, but just about as worse. You know.
Yeah.
Smile.
Can I also give a
It
little
speaks
bit of
emoji.
Can I have a little bit of an honourable mention? I love is it Night Terrors?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
that's-
that.
Series 6, yeah.
Really scary, that.
That's really good.
Really quite scary. Don't like those dolls at all.
The peg dolls, yeah.
Particularly when he's sinking into the carpet and he's like to his bulldog.
that's-
Help me, Bernard!
yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
God.
Help me,
I love
Bernard!
that
I've never forgotten that. He just holds Bernard at the
Have
end.
you seen the Doctor Who poop? It's like 10 cats. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's a good episode.
I think that's a really well done one for Gattis.
Should we move on?
So we got a final question, then we're going to speed round. We'll try and make this one a quicker one, but it's Best Doctor. I'm going to put it wholeheartedly on the table now. Although he got shit writing to the end of his series, I'm going to say 11. It's my Doctor. I think he's perfect. Perfect entry point for people to come in on because he's just so likeable. He does the range amazingly. He's had some of the best storylines of the show. And quite frankly, he solved some of the biggest problems ever. He reset the universe. He opened the Pandorica. Big Bang 2.0. He's done a shit ton. And I think he was just amazing from start to finish.
I absolutely love the shot in Pandorica Opens. It's like slowed down one of his feet as they're dragging him towards the Pandorica.
Yeah. There's even a Hawks in the background. I love it.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be the fourth Doctor for me. Just watching him. I mean, I know it's quite a generic answer.
No,
but
I agree with you.
You watch him and you're just like, you're so different.
He's so
It's amazing.
quintessentially unique
He is.
Doctor.
Yeah.
But then obviously close second would be the 10th Doctor, because just the one I grew up with and just love so much.
I remember in Year 9 French, I spoke about Doctor Who in a passing comment, but I had to read it out to the class, and then she responded in French, the teacher, who's your favourite Doctor, and it was just because it was the first number that came into my head in French, but I just said neuf. And you, Bowler, you, sir, gave me a lot of shit for it at the time. I was like, how dare you, sir? I really like 9. But I think I've got to say not underrated, because everyone who watches him loves him, but I have a soft spot for 9, but I think I've got to agree with Zach on 11.
It's just, he was written awfully then, but he's just. I mean, he is you, Jake. He's I'm sorry, but he is you. Like, he's just everything
Okay,
about him
that's
is
another
you.
that's agreed. Yeah.
Everything about him is you. Like the look, the personality traits. I'm not kidding. There are like serious moments where I can just like picture like the things you've said during a day. I can picture you just having said them, but in the outfit with the fez. And
Do you know, I can even agree with that. I honestly can agree with that.
No difficulty. You deny it all you please, but I think it's the truth.
I'm really surprised at that, but yeah. Good.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm undecided,
don't
though. I
get me-
change my mind every day.
True, that's exactly what I was going to say. You know, some days it's the 8th Doctor, to be honest, because just Night of the Doctor is so good.
Yeah.
I just love him so much.
It's 11 for me all the time. Like, and I do change my mind a lot for like 9, but it's 11 all the time because it's the pleasant surprise. I thought they'd peak with 10, they'd never get any better, but it was just 11 was just like, it was dark, it was like stupid at the same time, and I loved it. And I think
It is difficult though, isn't it? When people say, "Oh, what's your best Doctor?" But you're like, but it's just so difficult because you love so many. You know. Yeah.
Quick bit of trivia question for you.
Ooh.
How many episodes has David Tennant been in?
He'll know, I haven't got a bloody clue.
Two more than Matt Smith.
Good.
59.
I was working out in my head. I was about to do a maths achievement. That would earn me.
We just do 13
that would earn me
times.
You're going to do a Goodwill Hunting and...
That was going to earn me a treat later.
Hold on. 13 times 3.
That was going to earn me a treat. I was going to maybe have a cookie when I got back. Zach did good at maths. He gets a cookie.
That is according to IMDb though, so I didn't count it myself.
Oh right, okay. I won't do it myself.
I suppose IMDb beat me to the punch. Yeah, I guess we better move on to the speed round then. Sorry, I'm just really annoyed. My maths achievement was ruined. Right, so now we have the opportunity to decide quite wholeheartedly who is the greatest Whovian of the three of us.
Crikey.
I think there'll be arguments after this. This is going to be the idea of like, I need your point. I don't know if I want to just test this on you two, because I think in ways I might get the better answers out of you two. But I want answers very quickly, and I want quick points, and I want points to disparage you two, like to disparage the other's points. So I think we'll do you two first. I'm going to move into the first question. Quick answers, quick responses. This is it, because I will cut you off. Worst companion.
Clara. Just
say that.
Yeah, he's got it because he said
Clara. Just impossible girl. Just absolutely rubbish.
Yep.
I've gone blank.
Yep. Keep going. Keep going. Keep trying to do it. That's the idea of it. That's the idea.
Words want to come out, but there's right, and then the whole series 9 thing, like becoming the Doctor that killed her off. Just why?
Mm-hmm.
You just got.
Jacob.
God,
I
just
will argue Rose.
Okay.
Because they seem to think that she's the be-all and end-all because suddenly she's in love... No, because they think that she's in love with the Doctor. She isn't the best companion because the Doctor is supposed to be alien. He's supposed to be different. He's not supposed to fall in love with his companions. He's supposed to love them, yes, but not be in love with them. And that's why I like the moment where it's like Rose Tyler and then you never get the satisfaction of what he actually wanted to say because then I can...
I cut you off. This is a speed round.
Goodbye.
It's a speed round. You've got to be quick, and you've had your 20 seconds.
I mean, you said more than me, so that's probably going to win. I
was going to give it to you anyway. I'm going to give it to you anyway. Right, so it'll now be.
Oh, and I'll keep the scores. I'll just write them down.
Right, so let's do this. You're not J.J. Abrams, mate. Right. Baldy, you're the judge for this one.
Oh, I had a good answer for this one. Go on.
You can. Oh, my worst companion would have been Bill. But we'll get into that. You go ahead. What's your idea for him? Worst idea?
The Doctor being half human in a TV movie. Because why?
Yeah.
Like, who thought that was a good idea? You know, just he's clearly not human.
Right, my idea is the Metacrisis Doctor. This is a stupidly complex idea that you've just whittled into the story to shoehorn it in to try and boost the ratings. It's got no real effect on the plot other than the fact that it makes Donna come to the realisation that she is actually special, something she could have done by herself if they'd had stronger writing. He is stupidly, awfully set into the camera, even the fact that they can't put them in the same scene together, clearly because they didn't have the budget for it. It's a effort to improve the ratings. It ruined the ratings because the papers were all over it.
Stop.
Things like this.
No, go on.
Go ahead, you can
Go
win
on,
it.
carry on.
You can win it if you try.
I thought... Oh.
No, he's judging it. You've got to...
Oh, I thought because Boulder gave an answer. Oh.
No. It's...
No.
I'm just asking what he wanted to say in
I wasn't
general.
thinking because I thought I was judging it.
I just wanted to see what he's had to say.
Shit, okay, hang on.
It's alright, I'm started yet. Started to I'll finish.
Okay, even though I've spoken against it in this episode and said that I like them, I'm going to say the Paradigm Daleks. Why? Because the Paradigm Daleks. The Daleks are supposed to be an equal, unified race where they're all equal because they are supposed to be the pinnacle of anything, all life in humanity. No, not in humanity, in the universe. Whereas giving them each individual tasks and gimmicks, what essentially the colours are, like the blue being the strategist and everything like that, they are all supposed to be the be-all and end-all.
Stop. Right. That's really thrown me a curveball now.
Quite happy with my answer there.
Yeah, I think I'll start to go with Zach, sorry.
Cheers, man.
Right,
so it's now me v Boulder. I'll let you go first with these. Martha or Donna, I don't care. You can have either one. I can argue both.
Oh. But I'm going to go Donna because she is just, you can do comedic, she can do emotional all at the same time. You take into account the Fires of Pompeii, it's just comedic early on with the Doctor, but
TK Maximus.
And then you get on later on, she's doing the emotional, and then, her final departure is the true emotional, whereas for most of that episode she's been doing comedic, and that's just not just that, but she was so different to the previous companions before, no romance, nothing. It just makes it the best companion for me.
Zach, go.
Martha Jones is so spectacular in the sense that she's a strong, original character, a character of colour, something they really hadn't had on the show up to that point. She is strong, she's a smart character, independent, she doesn't often need the Doctor to get out of these problems. Particularly as well, they come back to this character in multiple spin-offs. They're happy to see her again in the returning episodes. She was a big part of Torchwood for a long time. Donna Noble, whenever they return to her, it is literally just for a plot point to make the Doctor feel sad. She was great for the time she was on the Tanya, she was funny, she reacted to things, Martha was strong, Martha was instrumental in the plot. There is no way the world is saved without Martha Jones. You could have had another person other than Donna.
But she's the best temp in Chiswick. 100 words a minute.
And Martha Jones became a doctor a year early. She's got a PhD a year early.
So I've got to give that one to Zach.
Ooh.
I'm just really passionate about Martha over Donna.
Right, so is it you contesting now, Zach?
I think it's you v me now. Boulder's judging its best Doctor outfit. Ooh.
I'm going to argue Colin Baker, the Sixth Doctor's outfit, because it is just colours. The Doctor is an alien. He has no sense of fashion. He just chucks whatever's on, and he doesn't care. And especially Colin Baker, he's just like his Doctor. The Sixth Doctor is a prick. So he doesn't care that he's assaulting people's eyes and making them bleed. It just truly is him.
All right, stop. I got it.
Give him that.
Oh, God. I want to see what you say. I want to see it.
I was going to...
Oh, God.
Follow that. Alright, I'm going to say the 12th Doctor, given the fact that it builds into the motif of he's the magician. I don't really like it. I look a bit like a magician. Basically, he has 4 other outfits in that series, and the only other one that you like is the original coat. It's the reason they go back to it at the finale of the series. Particularly as well, he looks amazing in that outfit. Calls back to Pertwee, it looks rather similar. It makes sense that he would wear a coat like that, because that's probably got a lot of pockets. He's the sort of man who carries a lot of things. He's got the sonic shades, he's got the sonic paper. He has got the screwdriver. Typically, these Doctors don't wear long enough coats. They don't have enough pockets in these things. I'm thinking that's a coat that provides practicality. Looks good when it's raining, keeps you cold. Don't make sure you don't get cold when it's cold. And practically, you've got a lot of pockets there to put your things in. Pockets, practicality, trump colour. Give it to him.
So I just wanted to see what he said, to be honest.
Give it to him, you want that.
I think I've got to give it to you, to be honest.
Just give it back.
Thank you.
That was so uncalled for. I mean, it was so uncalled for.
I love you for that.
I mean, that was my choice.
Incredible. What was yours?
The quintessential costume. It's got to be the 4th Doctor.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
The scarf, the jacket,
There's a reason why the scarf's still iconic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, it's you two. Decide amongst yourselves. 11th Hour or Rose?
11th Hour. Oh God.
Yeah.
You can still
you
can still turn this around. Rose is a good episode. You can still turn that around.
I've done a review on Rose. Exactly.
Yeah, use comedy. Give you that.
All right.
Right. 11th Hour. Go.
11th Hour. Go. Right. They completely What?
Right.
11th Hour. Go. Right. Go.
I'm hyping myself up here, guys. Right. They add in this fairy tale element where it takes the TARDIS back to, you never know where it's going to put you. It's just going to put you where you need to be. So the Doctor, he goes back in and then he comes back out after, at the start, this brilliant sequence of him trying to find himself, what he wants to eat. Fish fingers and custard, now truly iconic. This is a very funny episode, and it's not just slapstick comedy. While it does have that with and never come back, it has the heartfelt moments as well, and also the comedy and the more adult, mature themes of, are you going to look away? No. And then also the brilliant, hype, adrenaline moments. I am the Doctor.
Rose is the better story because you get introduced to this new companion, the first companion of the new series. And then you get the Doctor. the first new Doctor of the new series. You know, you get Christopher Eccleston, who's just so different to any other Doctor before. You got the comedic element. He does the emotional. You know, he does everything. You know, in that first scene you get of him run, it's just iconic to this very day. And you bring back the Autons in that first episode. I mean, already a well-established character. They did it before with John Pertwee in Spearhead from Space. It's just amazing. And then you get Clive, who's just, you know, as we said before, spin-off worthy.
Give it to him because I just stumbled on my words and he actually gave a good response.
I'm going to give it to Boulder, particularly in the sense that you just went for what was new, but Boulder talks about how it was new and how it also pleased the classic series with the Autons. So I'm going to give it to Boulder.
Yes.
Right, so...
And you two, excluding the Doctor, best Time Lord.
River Song.
Rassilon.
Right.
Zach, go.
River Song is an absolutely amazing character in the sense that they can build such a great mystery around her in Forest of the Dead, and you are actively excited when she comes back for Series 5. She's a complete enigma, the only person that can actually challenge the Doctor in terms of wit, just intelligence and capability. Not to mention, she's the only other person that can fly the TARDIS. Rassilon is a plot point that they have used in just like few throwaway episodes that haven't really worked. You've then just got it where it's oh fuck, he's like, oh, let's fly him off at the end. River is a character that you're excited to see. River that is a character that got an emotional payoff. River is a character that became layered with each season. The revelation that she is Melody, the revelation that she was important to those characters, and the revelation that she is still fun in the motion that they may have had sex more than once that we know. Not to mention she's also an interpersonal character. You can put it in with many different Doctors.
Stop.
Right. Rassilon is a better character because he is the main plot point in the 5 Doctors, and look, you got all the classic Doctors there from that point onwards, from that point before even. And, you know, he just allows the show to, you know, contemplate the past, but yet look to the future also with the 5th Doctor. And then you bring him back in the end of time, and he's just Timothy Dalton playing him is amazing. And, oh, no, it's gone. Gone.
I think that's enough, though. I think I'd give it to him. Because I think I talk about how she's just fun to have sex with, whereas he talks about how that's actually an integral plot point.
And he brings in classic.
Yeah. I didn't bring in anything with classic until the end, which is annoying.
Well, you can't because it's River.
Yeah. Right, I said like she's... No, I said she's interplaceable. I didn't say she was, which is annoying. I'd give that to Golda.
To Golda.
Golda.
It's quite hard not to stumble on the words, to be
really
fair.
Hard,
Like, I just... Yeah. Ooh.
I think if we're going for Doctor Who fan, because he brought in a lot of knowledge from classic, I think I've got to go Boulder. But I did like your fast.
That was very good.
That's
2-2.
2-2, right. So I have another tiebreaker, and you, I imagine, have got a tiebreaker.
I don't, but I can probably think of one.
What if we do it? We'll do it. Because we all want a shot. I'm gonna do me v Boulder with the best 2-parter. I'm gonna give him the options. I'm gonna give him one that
I have a
he
good argument
loves.
for that.
What you mean? Doctor Dances and then Human Nature and Family Blood. Or do you two want to argue that?
I'm happy to argue that one.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
You two argue that one, and then whoever wins, I'll have a fight with. I don't mind.
I'm going to go Family Blood.
Doctors. Oh, alright, okay, cool. That's alright, that's
that
fine.
Works then. I'm going to
on,
give you you don't even have to rush, I'm going to give you as much time as you want.
Oh, nice.
I will judge what you say though. Just go for as long as you want.
Family of Blood and Human Nature is the better 2-parter because it puts the characters in compromising positions because the Doctor's human. We haven't seen that in New Who. It's completely new ground for the audience, and so you're there with Martha. You're in Martha's shoes, and again, going back to how she is one of the best companions and how she is strong, assertive, supportive, and she knows what to do. She is competent, whereas the Doctor in this one, he's falling in love because he's human and he's showing weakness that we haven't seen in him before, and it adds depth to the character of the Doctor because he reflects on himself, and this is testament to Tennant's acting. He reflects on himself and what sort of a man is that and who do you want it to be. And then there's the final moment where they're in the ship and he's like, oh no, please just have the watch, I don't want it. And then he falls over and he's like, you shouldn't have let me press all those buttons. And it works because it's just when the Doctor's back, he's back because he's smart, he outwits them, but then it's also the dark moment, the fury of the Time Lord, where he puts them in unbreakable chains. He put the girl in the mirror, she's still there.
What did he do to the mother?
He threw her into the heart of a dying star.
Well done.
Nice.
And what did he do to Jeremy Bates?
He left him as a scarecrow to watch over the fields of Britain.
As the
Watcher.
No.
Protector.
He gets it. Sorry.
We said it at the same
We
time.
said it at the same time.
But I feel that is a better episode because also performance-wise, there is a large ensemble cast here. It's also, I know the Doctor dances but it's in a period setting, and this has one of the best cliffhangers because this is we've seen villains go after the Doctor and the companions for their lives, but we haven't seen them wanting their immortality, and then that is when the fury of the Time Lord gets them and he gives them what they want, but so they're in eternal pain, as well as having some really creepy villains of the scarecrows just marching up. And I remember watching this. Fern and my dad were out. It was just Mum and I. We ordered some chips and we sat there and ate it and watched the episode and shat ourselves and were extremely worried about the finale. And I also like it because it is, again, a Dr. Light episode, but he's still there. His presence is still felt. And he has all these dreams, and he dreams of getting old with her, and then the emotional pain of losing that.
I've always found it very, that scene where it's like Martha clearly knows that, what's her face, the mother of mine is evil, and she's like, I'm just going to go off and make the tea, and then mother of mine knows, she pulls out the gun, she just does the face like this. It's just like very disturbed face. It's like, oh no. Boulder.
Crikey.
Fly away.
Where do I go? So, I'd say Empty Child Doctor Dances is much better than that.
Right, here's what I'm going to do. Well, you give the argument for why yours is amazing, go as long as you want, and then I'm going to give each of you, afterwards, a quick moment to say why yours is better.
Right, okay.
You've said why yours is the best, then I want you to specifically, when he's done his thing, say why his is worse.
Right,
okay.
And then you say the same for his. So.
Okay, yeah. So, I'd say this episode it's two-part, is probably one of the best, because you can't, the human factor of the empty child is just so frightening for most people that it just makes it a cut above anything else. And the fact that this is the Ninth Doctor already established now, this is well into series 1, but yet we're still finding out about his character. You get the scene, right at the end where this is, the one chance where everyone lives, but just this once, and that's something that, will always become, it will always come back to that, and we'll think, that is really the only time that everyone lives, Yeah. And, that scene where you got Dr. Constantine changing is just so frightening, especially for those watching at that age,
Oh, Christ, yeah.
But it really introduces the dark, the dark side of Doctor Who that can be there. And then, obviously, you've got the introduction of probably one of the best side characters that have ever been, Captain Jack. Without this episode, Torchwood would not have been possible.
Yeah.
It would not have been as successful as, it could have been. And then, you've got the period setting, World War Two. Yeah, I think it's. I think for a minute, World War Two. Yeah. And the whole historical point of view that Doctor Who is a educational show, and that really shows here. You get the whole period setting, but shown in a really discreet way. Like in the house, the rations, that sort of thing. Someone coming to steal the rations, that being such a bad thing in those times. And then you've got the typewriter, how it types in the typewriter, really scary moments like that. And I think it just makes it a cut above the rest.
I'm going to argue that my two-parter, even in how it's made, it relies more on practical effects, whereas some of the effects in Doctor Dances and Empty Child is very CG heavy. so some of them haven't dated as well. Whereas in this one, even the explosion at the end was practical, so they tried to do as much in camera as possible, and that really helps with the aesthetic of the period setting, because even though they have these science fiction elements, it all still feels very real and very grounded. And even just narratively speaking, each character gets their moment and their points, because they all have different moments of development and progression. And also, even if it's just a certain boy who was in the background earlier who sniggered or something, then at the end when they all come together, and it's just this dire situation of these young boys don't even know if they're going to make it out alive. And so I feel that then contrasted with the Doctor dances, it introduces characters, yes, but then they're not given, they don't change.
Okay. I think, in terms of why this story, this two-parter, is better than Human Nature, Family Blood, is the characters themselves. Okay. Because you get the Doctor as the Doctor, you know, that's got to be a stronger point, you know. This is the Ninth Doctor still suffering from the Time War, you know, and you can really see the passion in that he can really save everyone, and this is the only chance he gets. And then you get Captain Jack, who really helps with that point, and you know that's why he becomes this such important character to the Doctor, and then you know goes on to be one of the most important characters in Who, really, you know, in Torchwood as well. You know,
I feel that Rose is very one note in this, because she's all very flirty and she doesn't actually feel the sense of threat. She's more joking about and being more comic relief, and while there are moments for that in two-parters and in stories of Doctor Who, it feels like she never really gets the sense of, oh, shit is going to get real, whereas here, Martha, shit is hitting the fan and she is sorting it out.
I think one thing that lets this episode down is Martha, because they're playing on the romantic element still, and how, oh, you know, Rose is still, you know, you get that bit when in the Journal of Impossible Things where you get that picture of Rose and she does that face, and it's like, really, you have to shoehorn that in.
It's that lovely line, you have to go fall in love with a human.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I just think that's so, you know, it's so not what this episode strives for, and it just really lets it down for me.
I think this like my two-parter,
this is going to be your final point.
Yeah.
It's going to be your final
I feel
point
like this two-parter also tells something about race, because Martha's trying to do her best, but it's not as progressive as things are now. So there are comments on the colour of her skin, which is absolutely awful. And it just again highlights how much she has going against her, but she's still pushing forward because she is that strong character.
Have you got a final point, Boulder?
No, I haven't. I've said all I need to say.
I'm liking the confidence there.
Yeah, there you go.
This is extremely hard because you missed out on some points I think you could have really spoken about that were high points of the episode, like about how, like, shall I tell them what is coming next year? You, sir, you who will send them into war. And the bit at the end where, like, they're raising the flag and they got the poppies, I think kind of maybe missed that. The fact we didn't talk about Caleb Smith in that episode upsets me. It upsets me. I didn't talk about that. One of our great acting friends, he's everywhere now, you didn't even mention him. I think Boulder went really heavy on the characters, but I think you sunk him on that line about how Rose is very one note, but then I think you really redeemed it with the idea of they're still playing on the love story and it's getting really interruptive and repetitive for the episode. I think as well, particularly you went more in on how the villains are scarier.
I've just thought of another point to raise, which is really annoying.
But I think
I'll say it after you've decided.
You went in on more of the thematics, and I think neither of you answered me why it was a better two-parter. Like, why? Neither of you kind of went on about, like, you mentioned it briefly, like it was a very good cliffhanger, but you didn't mention kind of like much why. And equally, they're very similar cliffhangers, so I'm surprised you didn't go for something like that. But I think as much as this hurts, I might give it. This is nasty. I don't like doing this Because I love the point you made about how it's a Doctor story. Like, it's still entrenched in, you get more about the character. And how you don't get tortured without that episode. But at the same time, I like the fact that you say it's like a Doctor Light episode, but the Doctor is still there, you're still able to fall in love with David Tennant for a different reason. I think for that reason I might give it to Human Nature and Family of Blood. Although it hurts. Although it hurts.
You led me down the wrong street there, didn't you?
Straight there, I'm horrible.
But let's just say they're both probably
the best two parts.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion.
All is fair.
Right. So, what is your question then?
Wait. So, am I asking a question for you two, or is Boulder asking a question for us two?
I don't know. If Boulder asking a question for us two, or we? I don't mind.
I don't know.
I don't know. Then.
I don't know. I don't know where I am.
Fuck you. Where's my mummy?
Oh God.
I have a potential one.
I have a question that I could ask you two.
Alright. So does this then determine who goes on to face you?
I don't know,
Well,
because it then gives Boulder a double chance. I don't know.
No, I'll just do one for you two. But
Okay, then.
let's
No,
not
I
do
don't
that.
have an answer to this question.
Exactly.
No, that's not fair then. Let him think of like a really hard one. Like, don't make it trivia based. Just like kind of like an objective one I can argue, because he'll beat me on trivia in a heartbeat.
Best audio drama.
I will break your jaw. I will break your jaw.
Better villain. Midnight Entity. Or the Vashta Nerada.
Vashta Nerada.
Nice.
Ah, there you go. Right.
Would you like to go first?
You can go first.
So we're having long arguments, and then we get kind of chances to beat each other down, right? The Vashta Nerada is an exceptional villain in the sense that it is playing on a primordial fear that we have. It's playing on a fear of the dark. That isn't something that is often explored in Doctor Who. It is often your more run-of-the-mill villains. It's a scary alien coming through the door. This is an element that you do not see the face of. Even when it moves into the suit, you do not see it. Particularly also, there's an evolution to the Vashta Nerada. It starts off as the shadow that can consume you within one piece, but then it becomes so much more. It becomes the man within the suit. You get the terrifying, just utterly abominable skeleton within the suit. It's terrifying, and the fact that it does the ghosting section there really hurts, because you have to like watch that person like die thanks to the Vashta Nerada. Vashta Nerada also work exceptionally well in the sense that you can't escape. Like, that's a harder villain to escape. Like, you go around any corner, there's that beautiful scene in that shot where the gap just does close off, and it's like, fuck, we cannot walk into this. The pure ferocity of that creature. You throw a chicken bone, that is pure bone that is left. It's not a scrape on it. This will kill you within seconds. And you see that with Miss Evangelista. When she's gone out, she's literally a skeleton. It's fucking horrible. Primarily as well, they work amazingly in this episode to make the laws of the library more scary. Like, the fact that every book can potentially be something. And it takes, like, not only your primordial fear of the dark, it takes something that you've grown up with and you've loved, like your love of books, and it turns it into a weapon against you. Typically as well, like, the fact that Donna's going through the dream sequence, isn't she? Like, she's going, like, she's got a family, she's got a stuttering husband. The Vashta Nerada essentially have an impact on that, because they are able to affect the mindset of the little girl that creates the dream state, whatever you call it. There's that horrible scene where she lifts up the veil and she's got a horrible face. It still scars me to this day. And that utterly just devastating moment where Donna loses her kids in those beds and she's screaming, no, where are my children? I think the Vashta Nerada not only work thematically as that great villain, but just, if you know you've got to fight something like that, how do you fight it in that sense? It's like, you stay in the light, but how long can you really make a light source for? Like, that's kind of my argument for it.
Right.
With the Midnight Entity,
Like with the Vashta Nerada, you say it's playing on the primordial fears of the dark. With the Midnight Entity, it flips that. It is so bright outside, nothing could be alive. Nothing possibly could at all be there, and yet it is. it plays on the fear of the unknown, which is one of the reasons why it's so scary. The Doctor is completely shaken up. He is out of his depth. Not only is it crawling, well, we can only presume it's crawling, not only is it going around to these different points of the ship and scaring them, or is it just the metal cooling? It controls the minds and the voices of the people in the vehicle so much that they then don't know who to trust. They then think that it's gone somewhere else, but then, oh no, it's still in her, but then, and it just works on the idea of you have no clue what this is. There is no way to beat it except sacrificing someone and yourself. You cannot, there is, like, we don't even know what it is, and it's been many years later, whereas like no one's even dared to even gone back and touch it because it works so well. They set it up on this diamond planet where no one could ever survive out there, but it does. What is it? We will never know. It's almost like Pennywise in the sense of it creating fear in its victims, because that's what they are. They're victims. They're not just people that, like Vashta and Nerada, you could argue they're trying to stay alive, but with the Midnight Entity you could argue that it's doing it for sport. Or you could argue that it's been lonely. It could just be misunderstood because it's been out there for years and years, arguably millennia on its own. It could and it's just this new entity, this new life form, but you have no clue what it is. There could be so many theories and none of them would be wrong.
I think that the Vashta Nerada, you've made your point there and how, like...
Can I just tell you what? To make it a bit shorter, just go for why.
Why mine's better.
Yeah, and then you, because I think you've raised probably most of the really good, important points there. But you, by all means, make one or two more.
I'm going to make one or two more.
No, go for it. Yeah.
Typically, a Doctor Who is a show about where you want to be able to make villains more bankable. Is a show where you want to be able to essentially bring villains back. Look what they've done the Daleks, look on the Cybermen, Ood, Weeping Angels. The list goes on. The Vashta Nerada is a villain that you could bring back with an interesting set piece. Christ, we were even pitching an idea for it earlier. And the Midnight Entity is something you can never re-explore because the magic of that is lost. Like, if you try and go back to that, it feels copied, it feels the same. Leslie Sharp's never coming back, she's dead. You can't do something new with that. But typically as well, you talk about how the Midnight Entity brings out the worst in people, about how it makes them terrified. Why Doctor Who is amazing is the sense that he isn't the only one that makes them feel good about it. They come together to make that work. That is a team that you care about. When you see that Bliss is dead, I think her name's Bliss, wasn't it? So you know what I loved about her? She never cried. She's never scared. Like, that's a beautiful movie. You care about those characters and it brings them all together. At the end of it, when she's reunited with them in that dream state, you are thrilled that they are all alive. With them, they're just made to be horrible people. And I like the fact that the Doctor can bring out the good things within people. That's why the villains work, because you know that it's a terrifying entity that's coming to take you in the night, and the Doctor's going to be the one man who's going to say, grab your hand and say, run with me. He's going to keep you safe. Typically, as well, in that third act of that episode, that villain is really, really bad when it can talk fully, when it's in the Doctor and it's just in Leslie Sharp and she's just doing her facade and she's just doing... Oh, it was so horrible. Like, it's just so... Like, it felt so poor. Like, that credited sequence, the fact that they're putting it into her and she's not even trying to hide it, they're just believing it because of the paranoia. It feels really bad. The Vashta Nerada are a consistently constant threat. And the fact that, they lose someone in that devastating moment... The Doctor is in constant anger at the Vashta Nerada because they have stolen his greatest friend. The scene where it's Donna Noble has left the library, Donna Noble has been saved. He is holding her face in his hands because I've done this to her, I've brought her here, and now she'll never live. River's trying to then say look, we can do this together. And he's like, fuck off, you're the reason I've lost her. And then the fact that, again, the only way to beat the Vashta Nerada is to lose someone more personal. Yours creates a sense of terror within the Doctor, which we had not yet seen. Mine creates a sense of sacrifice that would become, quite frankly, unanimous with the show. Like, he is now a man who has to consistently just give things away. He can't just be like that person that loves things. He has to move it away. And I think the Vashta Nerada work just so amazingly because, like with the Midnight Entity, it's just so interesting when it starts, like when it's the banging against the walls and when it is just staring you in the eyes, when you don't understand what it is, that's when it's scary. When it is just copying you and you know it's not you, when it becomes her, when it becomes us in that sense, and she's just edging them on just to kick him out, it to me just becomes like a faux Shakespeare play. Like it's just like, oh, it's gotten to this stage and it's like the intrigue of it is gone. Watching the learning process of the Midnight Entity is more interesting than seeing that third act. The Vashta and Nerada are interesting throughout because they're consistently taking the characters that we've grown to love, they're consistently putting the Doctor in a difficult state, and even more, they are completely fucking with that, and they're destroying the life that Donna has. The fact that at the very end of that episode, he tries to call out to her, and she can't reply because of the direct results of what the Vashta and Nerada have done to both of their lives is crippling, given that in an alternate world they both had kids together. They had a happy life, they had what she always wanted, and now, because of the Vashta and Nerada, she can't have it.
I'm going to pose a rhetorical question. What is Doctor Who? Classic Doctor Who, established in Patrick Troughton, it's a base under siege story. Here, it is a base under siege. Within this story, you can develop characters, you can develop everything, and then when the bad things happen, it happens to people you care about. And Zach argued that in that one the Doctor can help unite people and bring them together. In this one he can't, because it is just that threat. It even takes over the Doctor's body. You see the pain in Tennant's performance. He can't do anything. It's just become that powerful where it even shakes him up that much that at the end he's just like, maybe.
I must admit, that was a fantastic round. Very happy.
I was. I am sat here in awe. Not that you can see that at home. No, I thought that was excellent for both of you, to be honest.
What scared you more as a kid? Just like, not to like win a point or anything, just like, I'm just curious what actually scared all of you more as a kid. Like for me, it was posting the Midnight Entity.
Yeah.
That scared me.
I think
more
they're
as
about
a
equal
kid.
for me, to be honest. I mean, they're both equally brilliant.
Because it's only in the second half that I actually got scared of the Vashta Nerada. But hey.
I'll tell you one thing you didn't mention about the Vashta Nerada. They're in the shadows. They're not in every shadow, but they can be in any shadow.
Yeah.
And that as a concept is just purely frightening.
Yeah.
You know? The fact that you don't know, you know, if it's going to be in that one or that one, but you just got to test it and see, you know. And I like that you mentioned the base under siege stuff, because that is basically, you're right, that's basically Doctor Who where it started in the original, you know. I don't know where to go on this.
As we move into hour 4 of Sour Popcorn.
Well,
Before
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? I don't know what you're going to do.
You're going to do something to swing the tide in your favour now, aren't you?
I'm not doing anything argument-wise.
If it's Blink, I'll punch you. I swear to God. Just reminds me of a Moss streetcar.
Yeah, I was just literally thinking IT crowd, yeah. That's it, straight away. Midnight Entity.
Boy, he's got it.
Thank you.
I think I think you're very justified in saying what you did about the Vashta Nerada, and I do agree. They're a very good villain. But
very happy.
I think the fact that they, you know, will never return, that is the best thing about that.
Yeah.
And it just makes that episode that more special. Whereas the Vashta Nerada, I feel,
can work in other places.
could, you know.
I'm so annoyed with myself because I was going to say the Midnight Entity, but I was interested to see what he was going to say afterwards.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. I'm
Cheers,
very
lads.
happy with that.
Cool.
Shaking your hand.
That was a hell of an episode.
Cheers.
Oh, do you want to unplug any of your reviews? Well, you kind of plugged it already, but do you want to
I've
plug
already
it
plugged
again?
it already, so don't worry.
I do have something I want to mention for what's Appertaining. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
So that was our big Doctor Who extravaganza section.
There you go. Yeah.
That was a fun ride.
Yeah, that was good, lads. That was good.
Bloody hell.
That's
That's going to be one for the record books, that.
We're currently sat here at 4 hours 25 now.
Jesus Christ.
I know we're splitting this into 2 episodes, but
Christ
it's been a ride.
Christos.
But we now go into our sour popcorn segments for what's Appertaining. And for me, I haven't watched that much. I caught some Studio Ghibli on film 4, but
Which ones?
it was Whispers of the Heart.
Oh, I Could Kiss You.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's so good, isn't it?
But this weekend I was at a music festival and fell in love with an artist called Semantics. I recommend you all check him out. He does sort of like raps and he's quite funny with his stuff. So Semantics, check him out.
Cool.
And then
My
Quickfire Question.
basic why what's Appertaining has been quite dull this week. Cowboy Bebop is nearly finished. I hope to have that done hopefully by the end of the week. And besides collecting uni things, my sister and I have been continuing our American Horror Story binge, which has been quite lovely. And do yourself a favour. Hereditary is out on digital download this week. Do yourself a favour, go home, that's your homework, watch it again, watch it for the first time, just get out there and see it. But we'll go now to the quickfire question, and I'm really actually quite surprised that we haven't talked about it in depth. It's like Doctor Who got one of the worst TV movies ever made. Like, and I mean just ever. It's really awful.
I actually quite like it.
I do in a way.
I
do in a
it.
way.
Like, McGann's great, but it's just really not great. And there have been a lot of TV shows that have gotten great movies, and that was almost my question. But I thought I want to make this a bit more interesting. I'm going to say, what is the best ever TV show that is either based off or inspired by a film? So this could be like The Exorcist. This could be any of the Netflix series. And I'm going to say it's the FX series Fargo. Fargo is absolutely perfect on FX because it essentially captures what made the amazing film so great. Like, the original film is perfect because of that tone, and what the creators of Fargo are able to do throughout this anthology series is just able to re-establish it purely. Like, they're able to bring forward the Coen brothers tone, the characters, the locations, the settings, the language, the dialogue. Everything is brought back to it, so that everything you loved about that original film is just neatly repackaged within a new story. And that's the perfect thing about Fargo. Every single season is great. 1 is fantastic. 2 is one of the best television series I've ever seen. 3 is right up there. Quite frankly, there isn't a scene or an episode that I don't love. You got Billy Bob Thornton, you got Martin Freeman, you got Jordan Peele and Key and Peele. I don't know the guy's first name. You got fucking Todd from Breaking Bad. You got Kirsten Dunst, Patrick Wilson. You got some of the biggest names in the industry contributing to this because they can recognise the prestige of the show. The Coen brothers openly give their blessing for this show because they recognise just the capability of it and the strongness of it. But also, this is a show that, while it is in the vein of the original movie, it doesn't rely on the original movie at all to be its thing. There'll be those little plot points that will relate back to it, little themes, but other than that, you can go into the show completely blind, enjoy it wholeheartedly, and have a wild time while doing it. This is some of the best anthology shows I've ever seen. Quite frankly, it is the best in my mind. And I think if you're willing to commit to it, it's one of the best crime dramas ever put to television. And I think the fact that the Coen brothers, with each season, give it their blessing, and it, with each season, gets better and better, is a testament to its quality. So I'm going to say Fargo.
Am I allowed to argue Twin Peaks?
That did have the show before the movie, didn't it? If you can't come up with another one, I will give you that.
I can't come up with.
If you really can't come up with another, I'm surprised you aren't doing the Marvel Netflix series, like Daredevil or something. I'm surprised you're not doing that. Or Jessica Jones.
I didn't think of that.
If you want to do that, I don't mind.
I have more to talk about Twin Peaks.
Go ahead.
I'm going to argue Twin Peaks because this is just David Lynch putting whatever is in his head on the screen. That woman who talks weirdly. This is the show that I'm starting at the minute.
It's really good.
And it doesn't need to make sense. It doesn't make sense. Let's just be real here. It doesn't make sense. It's just putting weird, like Zach said about anthology, while it keeps the same characters and the same stuff, it's just to put weird things in front of the audience to make them think, to make them feel. And I feel that that's why Twin Peaks is arguably better than Fargo, because while Fargo does have the absurd moments, it's nothing on just the what the fuck of Twin Peaks. Like, how did they pull that off? What are they doing? How did someone even come up with this? And then with The Return, it's just art.
Yeah.
It's just well and truly art. So I'm going to say Twin Peaks.
That's going to be an extremely interesting battle, because they're two very different shows, but in ways kind of similar. And I love them both. So then, your recommendation of the week, my son.
So, my recommendation of the week this week is two, because they're not great films, but like Doctor Who, they both come up with interesting ideas that they put forward. One of them is by Steven Soderbergh. It's called Side Effects. It's an interesting thriller with brilliant performances by Jude Law and Rooney Mara, etc. And it asks questions about how can you hold someone accountable when they are under the influence of prescribed drugs, and it just asks these questions really intelligently, although it gets a bit too trying to be clever by the end. And then also the second one is All I See Is You, directed by the same person, I believe, who did Quantum of Solace.
Already lost me there, mate.
Love that Bond film.
Love that Bond film.
It has a great lead performance. It's by Mark Foster. It has a great lead performance by Blake Lively, and she starts the film as a blind woman, and it has some beautiful, beautiful shots where it's how she sees the world from her perspective. So she hears something, then it's how it affects it in her vision, and also how different senses impact that. And then through the course of the film, she has like a procedure, then she can suddenly start to see, and then she sees a problem with her marriage, and that's where it sort of loses everyone. But it does have interesting ideas and themes, so I recommend those two.
So that has been the Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey Sour Popcorn podcast. That is just, I think this was a Titanic event. I mean, Christ, we went a while.
We're not crashing into the iceberg, are we?
No, we're just having it crash into the TARDIS.
We just have Vincent Van Gogh painting an exploding sour popcorn box.
You need to do that now.
Someone make it happen. Someone make it happen.
Yeah.
But thank you so much to our guest for having been on. Like, this makes up for all the promised Doctor Who Expert 7 videos that never came about.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
So, Boulder, tell us what you've got going on in your life. Plug everything you're doing.
Well, I'm not sure really. A couple of reviews, you know.
Please do check out his current one, Rose, on the Doctor Who Expert 7 channel. I was extremely impressed. I believe
Very
Jacob
well
was
done.
also.
Yeah.
Another one of those coming soon. With the end of the world, hopefully.
Hell yeah. And we've got to see more of those out there. Something I also want to plug, particularly well done, and quite frankly one of the best video essays I've seen in a long, long while. Jacob Bamford-elsdon put out a Star Wars The Last Jedi video the other day. It was stupendously well done. I was extremely impressed. Get your asses over and watch that, because he does try and shit on the film, and he makes really horrible comments about Kelly Marie Tran. It's really nasty.
Oi.
He just shits on everyone in it. It's really mean. I mean, I don't understand why you need to use the N-word like that, mate, but...
I didn't know such thing. That's
certainly a plug.
It's just me jealous, because it's just so well made.
Yeah, the second one's already in the works, as well as finished short film, hopefully filming next week, and us doing the 24-hour film challenge tomorrow.
Which is going to be a lot of fun. Christ, I don't know how we're going to get that done in a day.
Although that'll already be up by the time this goes out, so...
Wibbly wobbly timey stuff. People assume that time is just...
a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I really wish someone would just walk in right now and just go, nerds! Doctor Who Expert 7, I let you go.
Thank you.
Oh.
And in the famous words of Charlie Brooker,
go
away.
away.
Gentlemen, we've peaked.
Christ